Chapter 361. There is a MMP in the heart of the yellow monkey. Drake stood up with difficulty and asked, "You know this guy?" "It's the first time I've seen it, but the ability to control thunder can't be wrong." "Naturally, it's the fruit of thunder, the god of Pika Island." "God?" Hawkins wondered. "The title of the ruler of the sky is almost the meaning of the king, not the kind of god that the believers believe in." Uruki explained. "Thundering fruit, really interesting ability." Apu patted his body and stood up, and he just hit the light beam of Kizaru, but there was a hole in his body, and it was not a key point. But grief is inevitable. He was completely self-inflicted. When it was too late for others to hide, he took the initiative to move forward to say, "Hello," to the general. Even when the Straw Hats were escaping, only Apu had the courage, which was really commendable. It's a pity that he got rid of it. "What are your plans? Are you going to join forces with that man to meet the Navy?" Drake asked. "I'm gone. I've seen all the interesting things, and it's almost time to leave." Apu ran away. "The battle between the gods and the generals is not something we can intervene in, so hurry up and leave now, and that person may not be able to take action against us." Uruki didn't want to stay here any longer. Hawkins walked quickly, holding a magic card in his hand. 4 supernovae quickly left the battlefield. Kizaru stared at Milo, not wanting to stop them from leaving at all. "You reappeared after 8 years, but it shocked us. What's your relationship with Shiki?" "Ski, you mean the old man? I'm not very friendly with him, of course, neither are you friendly." "I have no intention of being your enemy. Let's live in peace. I came to this island just to slay the criminals who attacked the Tianlong people. I'll leave soon. There's really no need to fight." Kizaru lazy tone. "But I think it's necessary to fight with you. Let's not talk about what happened 8 years ago among the people who attacked the Tianlong people. There is my partner." Lightning strike. A halberd made of thunder and lightning appeared in Milo's hand. Kizaru's eyes became sharp, like an unsheathed longsword. Since the woman and the mermaid were this guy's partners, they had to fight. He was never afraid of fighting, and at first he wanted to reconcile, just to avoid pointless fighting. "It's really nerve-wracking. I knew I wouldn't come here. Let that guy from Akainu have a headache." Tiankong Cloud Sword. He folded his hands, then unfolded them, condensing a long sword about his height. Boom! The long sword and the trident collided. The frequency of their fighting was extremely fast. The dazzling yellow laser collided with the blue and white lightning, and the scattered beams and lightning turned the surrounding into ruins. Houses continued to collapse, and the scope of the fighting continued to expand. The yellow monkey stretched out his index finger, and the rays of light shot out, very sharp. Milo's movements are almost the same, but he shoots blue and white light, and the light is surrounded by lightning arcs. However, this kind of attack without the additional weapon color has no effect on the 2 natural types. The attack penetrated their bodies and destroyed the buildings behind them. After they made a mistake, Kizaru appeared not far in front of Enel. After glancing at Enel, he ignored him and turned into a beam of light and charged towards Milo. The distance of thousands of meters is just a blink of an eye for the 2 of them. Wow, it's so gorgeous. The strong light flashed and Enel couldn't open his eyes, tears welling up. Just now Kizaru turned into light at close range, burning his eyes. Watching the game is risky, and you need to be cautious when watching the play. The demonic power stored in the heart poured out and gathered towards the eyes. Enel's cornea changed rapidly and evolved a structure to adapt to strong light, which, like a color-changing eye, could automatically adjust to a suitable level. Carter did not know when he had put on his sunglasses. It reacts much faster than Enel. Boom! Milo's left leg, which turned into light, kicked together. Boom! The scorching air waves turned into shock waves and spread around, and a large circular crater appeared where they hit. Milo let out a grunt and took a few steps back. His body is still a lot worse than that of the future, and his physical skills are far inferior to those of Kizaru. He suffered a little loss just by hitting head-to-head. He felt a little tingling in his left leg. As expected of a general, his strength is beyond my imagination. Milo was no match for Kizaru. He couldn't attach domineering to thunder and lightning to attack, and for the natural system, he could only use melee combat to make effective kills. But close combat isn't Milo's forte. There is no good way for Kizaru to take Milo. Although he has the upper hand in melee combat, his long-range attack is much inferior to Milo. And the speed of the two sides is similar, it is not so easy for him to catch Milo. The opponent has always avoided close combat with himself. Although those thunderbolts couldn't bring him substantial damage, they could shatter his body. The two were in a stalemate. Kazuna felt a headache and felt that he had taken on a chore. However, more suffering is yet to come. When are you going to play? If you keep fighting like this, the city will be destroyed. Akutagawa appeared and walked out from behind a tree. They have brought down the suburbs from the town. I don't want to either, but it's not that easy to solve. Do I look like I'm playing? And don't you think I'm not moving the battlefield out of the town? Milo didn't look good. Kizaru's face was even more black and like the bottom of a pot. Damn, what's going on here? Isn't this island a gathering place for supernovas? How did two generals come out with strong fighting power? A Milo is already tricky enough. If he wants to win, he has to do his best and spend a lot of time. How can a new world pirate come out? Oniantu, maybe I should consider running away. It seems that there is no chance of winning. However, things may not be as simple as 1 to 2. Admiral, how did you get into such a troublesome fellow? Do you want me to help? The golden lion sat on the branch and lit a cigar cross-legged. Gia ha 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 ha, the kid from the past is also sitting in this seat. Help me say hello to the warring states. Shike looked at Kizaru and said. The latter followed the reputation. Isn't this the golden lion? Mr. Warring States has been thinking about you. It's an old man. Why don't you just go back to your old age? This sea has changed. Huang Yuan was still calm on the surface, but his mind was only one sentence MMP. He has greeted dozens of ancestors of the Draconians, and perhaps Lord I.M. was included. What the fuck is going on here? Can a general like me be able to solve it? It is almost the same as sending all the advanced combat power of the Navy headquarters. Chapter 362 Warring States. You are afraid that you want to kill the Kiwi. The appearance of Akutagawa and Shiki made Kizaru's vigilance to the highest point. This force can almost form the backbone of 4 Emperor pirates, and there is also Huang, a guy who has an inexplicable connection with Kaido, and the ambitious Shiki. Why is such a force accumulated here? This island so close to the naval headquarters. If they suddenly attack the Navy when they are at war with Whitebeard, it will be bad. A rare dignified expression appeared on Kizaru's face, and the aura of being a general was unreservedly radiated. Why on earth are you here? In this special period? Shiki took a cigar. Well, as you said, old people should find a leisurely place to retire. I think it's pretty good here. Isn't a guy living here? Well, yes, come on, Rayleigh. He turned his head and looked aside. Ah, near him. To him, it was a complete disaster. But Kizaru didn't think so in his heart. The corners of his mouth twitched. The current situation is that there are 4 pirates at the scene, and he is the only one in the Navy. The situation seems to be a bit unfortunate. He took out the phone bug from his trouser pocket. Hey Mr. Sengoku. I think I need support now. This time Kazuna didn't get the phone bug wrong. Huh, what nonsense are you talking about? Don't tell me you can't deal with a few new pirates. Warring States said. Things are really not very good. Akutagawa, Shiki, Rayleigh, and the person with the ability of the Thunder Fruit appeared here. It's terrible. Even if the situation was so severe, Kizaru still couldn't change that. The appearance of the deputy concubine. What? Sengoku's face changed greatly. It's just this time try not to provoke them, first confirm their purpose. It seems a little late. I've already had a fight with one of them, and we're in a confrontation now. And the woman and the mermaid who attacked the Tianlong people are the partners of the Thunder Fruit person. The Warring States cursed the Tianlong people fiercely in his heart, and if they were full, they would make trouble. Just facing the Whitebeard pirates made him feel a lot of pressure, And now there are suddenly so many people to be crusaded. Is it true that the Navy's strength is unlimited? You hold on, I will immediately send someone to support you, Kuzan. Carp, Sengoku urgently summoned all the high-end combat power still remaining in the naval headquarters. You said that guy really ha 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 ha, maybe he really just passed by. That man wouldn't join forces with Ski. Carp laughed. No matter what his situation is, but we must not let it go. Kizaru has already clashed with them, and I am worried that he is in danger. Don't forget, the person we are going to execute is Fire Fist Ace Roger's son. It's not impossible for Rayleigh to take action. Sengoku's face was serious. As for Shiki, it doesn't matter what kind of thing that person does. Shichibukai Anal is also on the Chambord archipelago. I will ask him to help you too if possible. Take advantage of it now. Kill Sky. Sengoku actually didn't want to confront them at this time, but at this time there was no choice. There's already a fight over there, and it's not normal for Shiki to appear here. Destroying them individually is better than letting them and Whitebeard join forces to attack the Navy headquarters. Anal put down the phone bug in his hand with a strange expression on his face. Sengoku contacted him just now and asked him to go to support Kizaru to deal with Milo. Warring states, you have a grudge against Kizaru, do you want to kill him? Luffy and the others finally defeated a pacifist after an extremely difficult battle. Everyone slumped on the ground, gasping for breath. It feels like he will get up again, so scary. Nami's eyes flashed with fear. That's it, I can't move anymore. Chopper stuck out his tongue like a dog. That guy, what's going on? Luffy, who had shrunk down after using the third gear, lay on his back on the ground. Everyone, hurry up and get out of here. There was such a big movement just now, it might attract the Navy. Be careful, Zoro shouted suddenly. Two figures suddenly fell from the sky, and Luffy rolled aside with a donkey. Boom! The huge impact stirred up the rubble, which scatters around like bullets. Who? Zantaomaru appeared in front of them with another pacifist. Another one. Usopp shouted in panic. Hey, how did you get beaten like this, Bear? PX4. You know, the cost of a pacifist is comparable to that of a warship. Zantaomaru looked at the destroyed pacifist with dissatisfaction. In other words, pacifists are like bears. Damn it, we are no longer able to fight. Have we fallen into this desperate situation without even meeting the generals? Sanji looked tired. Zoro suddenly remembered what Enel said. In the new world, you can't get along with your strength. That's what it meant, the gap is too big. Who are you? Axe? Frankie asked. Does anyone use weapons to call people? You ask me in vain, I have no comment. Mine is the man with the highest defense in the world, and the tightest mouth. I said, I'm a tight-lipped man, Zantaomaru, so you can't get any information out of my mouth. The most serious man, Zantaomaru replied. Under the onslaught of Sam Taomaru and the pacifists, Luffy had to give an order to escape separately. He went up against Momomaru by himself. Although Kizaru was held back by Milo, Zantaomaru was still not an enemy they could fight against. Then the real Bartholomew Bear appeared. Shoot them one by one like the original. When Luffy disappeared one by one, Luffy broke out with far more fighting power than before, and even injured Zantaomaru. When the last Robin was also shot, he was like a deflated ball. Kneeling on the ground and crying bitterly, he beat the ground, and his fists were bleeding. Why is he so weak that he can't even protect a partner? Then, the bear slapped Luffy too. Zantaomaru couldn't stop Shang's actions, and looking at the Straw Hats who were nowhere to be seen, he asked Shang, why, are they all done? You have to give us an explanation, right? This is a big problem. The bear kept his mouth shut and said nothing. Damn, where did Mr. Kizaru go? Why is there no news at all? Zantaomaru looked at the back of Shang's departure, a little helpless. Chapter 363 Everyone as if nothing happened. I said that Sengoku was too nervous, right? Kizaru isn't that easy to kill. Garp stood on the deck of his dog-headed warship, nibbling on senbei. Mr. Garp the opponent is the Golden Lion, and that Akutagawa Wong and Hades Rayleigh, they are all great pirates who are famous all over the world. We have to take it seriously. Lying on the chair, there is no convincing at all. It's useless for us to go, just take it slow. Sky isn't the type to be foolhardy, and by the time we get there, I'm afraid we won't even be able to see him. He won't be so direct. Let's start a war with us. Even if we want to attack, we will definitely take advantage of the Whitebeard pirates' attack on the Navy headquarters. I bet a pack of senbei. Quote. Carter, are you sure you can't concentrate Kyabu with that move? Ano slowly walked towards the battle site. Not sure. Didn't you realize that when Kizaru was fighting Milo, part of his attention was always on us? Carter's fighting consciousness was much sharper than Enel's. Ah, is there any? Enel was surprised. He didn't notice anything. His fighting method is to resist, counterattack, resist, counterattack again, except for some big moves with obvious precursors. He doesn't dodge, so there's no need to pay attention to the opponent's subtle movements. He doesn't trust you very much. That time putting light in front of us was a test. If YC can have a good relationship with the Navy and make him less wary of us, I'm sure. Carter 1, it's all your fault. It's not my fault. The Navy has never bought my account. That bastard Carp and I don't deal with you. It's not that you don't know, and what really broke my relationship with the Navy was the stupid cat. You almost got on the island of justice. Defeat the demon slaughter order. Ano slapped Carter on the head with a knife. Meow. It doesn't matter anyway. Chiwahai's position. As long as you maintain it until your plan starts, Weishi. It's too soon. I've always had the ability to hide well, even if it's against Xingzi. I haven't used it since then. Kyabu isn't on your kill list anyway. Carter didn't care. Ano nodded. That's right. He's lucky. Some tricks have to be reserved for a critical moment. Since you don't have full confidence in Kizaru, then Carter, you should leave it to Titch for the first time. Bah, I want to leave it to the road deer for the first time. Carter's cat's face suddenly showed a happy look. Enel. When they got to the confrontation point, the scene was not as tense as expected. Milo and Huang were both sitting casually on a rock. Sky and Riley drink on the branch while remembering Roger. Kizaru stood aside and chatted with Milo. It seems quite harmonious and friendly. Congratulations. Long live peace, friendship lasts. At least the Chambord Islands are not in danger of being sunk for the time being. Kizaru is also very helpless. There are 4 pirates here. Although Rayleigh seems to be just a passerby, can you still do your own thing calmly when a Tyrannosaurus Rex passes by you? The other 3 are a gang, so how can he fight? If it weren't for his special abilities, and running away would not be a problem, he wouldn't dare to stay here. Yo, it's you, kid. Skur greeted Enel. Ano was stunned, and winked at Ski. Come on, old man, take it easy, don't expose me. Otherwise, the next few days will be exhausting. Ah, isn't this Mr. Skur? You haven't seen it for a few years, and you are still so old and strong. Enel's eyes were about to cramp. Is there something wrong with your eyes? Do you want me to introduce a doctor to you? Inside the Navy, not technically speaking. Kizaru suddenly said a word. Ah, Brother Polsolino, you are so interesting. Is it Burga Bunker? How did you do it here? The Warring States period asked me to come to support you. How can you support me when you are so friendly? Nell reached out and patted Kizaru on the shoulder. The latter turned into a flash of light and flew into the distance, looking at Enel vigilantly. What do you want to do? Ah, I'm not trying to express friendship. Isn't it normal for friends to hang on their shoulders? Then you don't need to use domineering. I'm not afraid that you will not be able to photograph you naturally. Enel's smile remained unchanged. Forget it, I'm a Navy, and you're a pirate. I don't want to hang out with you. Hey, you hurt my heart by saying that. Enel made an exaggerated sadness, wiping away tears that didn't exist. In the next second, he put away this look and laughed in a low voice. I'm Chiwahai. Besides, as a member of an allied country, it is legal for me to attack a hostile country that has not joined you guys. The justice of the Navy is beyond my control. Even if I massacre civilians, according to your position, you can't take action against me unless the superior wants to move me. Kizaru's attitude is something Anil has never seen through. Anil didn't have much contact with him either, and his image of him basically stayed before crossing. Different from Aokiji's justice based on his own view of good and evil and Akainu's absolute justice, Kizaru never indicated his will. Like a mixed-wage office worker, take money and do things. Perfunctory if you can. Don't demand perfection in your work, just look at the past carelessly. Enel's words were also tentative. If it was Aokiji, he would probably have warned him that if he dared to do evil, he would be punished even if he gave up his position as a general. If it was Akainu, it would probably say that a scum like you should die soon, and justice will punish you one day. And Kizaru, there was no fluctuation on his face, no expression at all. It's like having afternoon tea. The air suddenly became quiet. The Golden Lion stood up. It's almost time for us to retreat. If we drag on, reinforcements from the Navy will come. Oh Golden Lion, why don't we stop talking? A dazzling beam of light emerged from Kizaru's fingertips. The special effects of this attack were extremely gorgeous, and Enel gave it full marks. Ah, Kizaru, are you serious? It doesn't look like the fight is against us, there are 3 of them. Enel said. Isn't there a cat on your side? Of course, Carter's combat power Kizaru knew. After all, it almost defeated the demon slaughtering order, and even fought against Aokiji. Carter is my partner, and I can't necessarily command it. It just got fed up and doesn't seem to want to exercise, or let's just pretend that nothing happened. Enel suggested. The light at Kizaru's fingertips dimmed, then let's pretend nothing happened. Enel was taken aback. Kizaru's attitude changed so quickly that he was caught off guard. Chapter 364 Obliteration Order. Enel didn't want to fight. Kiwi's glittering fruit is very tempting, but Carter said he wasn't sure enough to sneak up on Kiwi with its tricks. Enel doesn't like to do things that are uncertain. The Golden Lion and Akutagawa Huang did not want to fight. Milo just wanted to test the strength of the general who was called by Anil in the past to be almost as powerful as a moving natural disaster. Although Kazuna wanted to deal with the Herring and Liuhuo who attacked the Tianlong people, it was unrealistic to think about it under the lineup on the opposite side. He didn't want to fight anymore. It was a big deal to go back and be scolded. In front of the Tianlong people, the Navy headquarters couldn't hold on to their face. This time, what he encountered was not some little pirates, but the monsters whose strength was chasing the 4 Emperor pirates. Since everyone didn't want to fight, then of course they parted peacefully. Fortunately, it was Kizaru instead of Akainu, otherwise it would be out of control. Since it doesn't work here, go find Straw Hat Luffy. When Kizaru saw Zantaomaru, the latter was lying on the ground with scars and gasping for breath. His axe had been beaten to pieces. There are large pits all around, and there are traces of the ground being burned. It's so strange, Zantaomaru, what's wrong with you? Is there any other big man who can't succeed on this island? Even you were beaten like this. It's really unfortunate. Kizaru dragged his tone. Uncle Kazuna, you came too slowly, right? Why haven't you contacted me? The prisoners have all escaped. I also have a last resort. You are like this. Is it the Straw Hat Luffy who did it? No, not the Straw Hat boys. They were obviously cornered by me. But Bartholomew Bear suddenly appeared and slapped them all away. Then I went to chase the other 2 prisoners, but their strength was out of the question. Unexpectedly powerful. That red-haired woman is not as strong as a newcomer at all. Oh, you said she, the one with the monster, is really as strong as the monster. She should be hurt more than me. If it wasn't for a group of strange guys who suddenly appeared to save her, I would have arrested them. They haven't left for a long time, and they shouldn't run far. Uncle Yellow Monkey, hurry up and chase after them. Come on. Zantaomaru stood up against the ground. Get around me, I don't want to fight with these monsters anymore. Even if I catch up, I can't do anything about them. Kizaru was very distressed. Uncle Huang Yuan, even you can't do anything about it. What's going on? Zantaomaru looked surprised. This matter can't be solved so easily. Our task is here. Let's go back and report to Mr. Waring states it's really a headache, probably I'm going to be scolded the other party, but there are 3 generals. A level of combat power. What? 3 generals level combat power. Mary Joa, 5 Old Stars conference room. What? Do you want support? Birthmark Wu Laoxing frowned. Isn't it enough for the Navy headquarters to deal with a mere Whitebeard pirates? As the largest military organization under the world government, if the Navy can't even solve this problem, we will doubt that we invest so much in the Navy every year. Is the military spending worth it? The long-bearded 5 Old Stars expressed dissatisfaction in their voices. Although I don't want to, but there is really no way we need to plan for the worst. Sengoku had a cold sweat on his forehead. I don't think you should be disproportionate in your actions, and tell your reasons. The curly-haired 5 Old Star sat on the sofa with his hands folded against his chin. Because what we are about to face is probably not a 4 Emperor pirates. What? In the Chambord archipelago, Shiki appeared. At the same time, Akutagawa, Hades Rayleigh, and a man with the ability of the Thunder Fruit were all strong men who could rival generals. Also, Akutagawa aura the relationship with Kaido makes me worry that Kaido might also be involved. Quote. Is the information reliable? Wu Laoxing with a bald head and a knife looked solemn. Kazuna has already fought with them. And we are going to execute Fire Fist Ace. Roger's son red-haired Shanks and Hades Rayleigh are not without reason besides. Kaido the relationship with Auntie. When the 3-4 emperors reach a tacit understanding, the remaining one will probably not be indifferent if Shiji really reached an agreement with Kaido. If he wants to take action during this period Navy headquarters, no, the entire world government may usher in an unprecedented huge impact. Quote. Sengoku was really frightened by his own conjecture. Although the possibility is not high, the red hair and the ant are completely out of line, but even if there is such a possibility, he cannot ignore it. Impossible. Curly-haired 5 Old Stars categorically rejected. Red-haired he is not the kind of man who would mess around. Kaido and Ant have not been in touch for a long time. Locks has disappeared. If Kaido is concerned, he should be more interested in Wano Kingdom. As for Shiki and Rayleigh, there are only 2 more of them. Your navy should still be able to handle it, right? Recently, the Revolutionary Army is also about to move, and it seems that there is a possibility of taking a shot at Mary Joa. We can't recruit more people. 5 Laoxing with a knife thought for a while, then said, how about we transfer Tautu and T-Dolphin as well? But aren't the 2 of them still guarding the G1 base and guarding against the tasks of the other 4 emperors? The blonde 5 Old Stars disagreed very much. If the 4 emperors other than Whitebeard really make a move, it will be a worldwide super war. We have to be prepared to suffer huge losses. At that point, the G1 base is not impossible to give up. It's impossible to retreat now. Even if we really have to face more than 4 emperors, we must fight. Newspapers that publish the news of Fire Fist Ace's execution have been sent to all parts of the world. If we are at this time compromised, what is the dignity of the world government? Quote. Agree. Second. That's settled. Also, let's talk about that Enel. Although he is one of the 7 kings under the sea, and he is also the king of Verslow, what he did is too outrageous. What's wrong? It seemed that only the curly-haired Wu Laoxing knew about the matter, and the birthmark Wu Laoxing asked in confusion. Look at this. What? That bastard dares to provide weapons to the Revolutionary Army. So his existence is already a danger. Together with Bartholomew Bear, let's be the target of killing chickens and monkeys. The curly-haired 5 Old Stars flashed coldly. It is not appropriate to act rashly now. In this war, we need him as help. After the war is over, let the generals join forces to obliterate it. I see. Sengoku exited the room. The 5 Old Stars looked at each other. Things are more serious than we thought. Go and ask Lord IM. They didn't notice that the curly-haired 5 Old Stars phone bug was staring at them with wide-eyed eyes. Chapter 365 Strategic Ability. In the infirmary on the Proverbs, a fire lay bloodless on a hospital bed. The white sheets were stained with blood. Herring lay beside the bed and cried loudly, Huahuo, Huahuo, wake up. Don't die. Go away. Indigo grabbed her by the back collar and threw her aside. Hey silly big guy, what do you want to do? Herring waited for him with red eyes in dissatisfaction. If you want her to die, just keep hindering me. In fact, I don't care. Indigo spread her hands. Herring suddenly lost her temper, lowered her head, and looked at Lu Huo, who was in a coma, worriedly. What the hell is going on? Milo grimaced, clenching his fists tightly. His eyes seemed to be spitting fire, violent and bloodthirsty. Boom. The sky was full of thunderclouds, and the blackness seemed to fill the whole world. Countless bright white dragons and snakes danced among them. A deafening sound came from the sky. The sea was rough and there seemed to be a catastrophe imminent. Herring had never seen Milo so angry. He shrank his head in fear. It's a fat man with an axe. Fat man, I see. Milo turned and walked out of the ward. A fat pink cat occupies the entire aisle. Miro. Do you want to stop me? Stupid cat. Huh. Lightning flashed from him. No, I'm just helping Wei Shi with a message. Here's what he said. You can go if you want. We are a team, and I will never stand by. But you have to think clearly, there is a navy on the opposite side. The highest combat power of the headquarters. Similar to the powerhouses like Kayabu, there are probably 3 or 4 on the Chambord Islands. Even if we are all dispatched, we may not be able to hurt Zon Taomaru under their protection. The thunderclouds slowly dissipated. The sun broke through the clouds, and the rays of light swept through the world like a sharp arrow. On the deck, Enel was lying on a chair, holding a drink in his right hand, with Erlang's legs crossed. His eyes were fixed on the dazzling light wheel. Thanks to Kizaru, his eyes transformed once not long ago, leaving him with another tiny weakness. Caroline sat on a small stool beside her. There are 2 tentacles on her head, and at the top of the tentacles are 2 big, open eyes. Enel was surprised by her appearance at first, a typical monster girl. A picture was projected in the eyes. It was really a picture of the 5 old stars in the warring states discussing. Caroline is the ability of the phone bug fruit, able to communicate with all the phone bugs in the world. Each phone worm receives a signal at a different frequency, and if she wants to contact a particular phone worm, she must know the other party's number in advance. And Enel happened to have the number of a 5-star star with curly hair. The runes of the 5 old stars are equipped with anti-avs dropping facilities, so they dare to put the phone bugs directly in the conference room. However, Caroline's ability allows her to gain the friendship of any phone bug, even those anti-avs dropping phone bugs defected and did not respond. So Enel easily obtained such important information. The phone bug fruit doesn't have much combat power and looks unremarkable. But this capability is definitely strategic. Caroline can also block communications within a radius of hundreds of kilometers and even publish fake news. Putting it in the war can almost let oneself master the rhythm of the entire battlefield. Enel drained the orange juice in one gulp and put the glass aside. The Annihilation Order. It seems that we think about the same thing. 5 old stars. You don't need me, the increasingly unstable factor. I'm almost dormant. The war on top will be the dividing line between my relationship with you. I hope Tiki will act as the script arranges, otherwise, I'm afraid I will lose the opportunity. I provided weapons to the Revolutionary Army. I am afraid that those guys leaked it out on purpose in order to force me to the opposite side of the world government. Hey Lord Enel, aren't we in trouble? Caroline panicked. She was still a little timid. At first, when Enel asked her to use her ability to eavesdrop on the 5 old stars, she was quite frightened. There was not a trace of worry on Enel's face. The 5 old stars would issue an obliteration order, which was completely in his expectation. Don't worry, Verslow doesn't have much strategic value anymore. Just give up if you can't keep it. Fighting and plundering are what a pirate should do. If you fancy something, go grab it. Thief, no need for territory. I didn't have enough strength at the beginning, so I chose peaceful development. That kind of model, how could it be convenient to directly snatch it? Ahahahaha, there is no bondage. Wandering, the Navy can't do anything about us. It is impossible for them to give up that huge vast sea in order to chase us. For them, the overall balance of power in the world is the first priority. I always have a feeling of being watched, said the blonde 5-star. Me too. Are you all like this? The curly-haired 5 old stars looked puzzled. But I haven't found the source of the peeping, maybe we're overthinking. Be careful, let's have the conference room checked over later. Pan-ancient city, among the flowers. In the huge palace, the towering stone pillars reach the dome. It seems to support the whole sky. The ancient trees are covered with moss, and the meandering vines are coiled on them. Flowers are blooming and grass is green. The sun shines through the colorless glass, as if in nature. Fluttering butterflies and circling birds create a landscape like the Garden of Eden. Lord Yimu, the 5 old stars asked to see you. A man in a white robe and a mask was half-kneeling on the meadow. What's wrong? It seems that the situation has exceeded their expectations. It is up to you to decide. Let's see you then. He moved his finger, and the butterfly parked in his hand was startled by the movement and flew towards the sky. But no matter how it flew, it couldn't fly out of this cage. Between these flowers, the world they inhabit is a place where they are imprisoned. I am walking up the steps and walking past the many weapons left by the 20 kings. He paused, showing nostalgic eyes. Finally, he sits high on the void throne, the true pinnacle of world power. He opened his eyes and looked down, looking indifferent. 5 old stars meet Lord Yimu. The 5 heavenly dragons who were supposed to symbolize the highest authority in the world bent their knees and lowered their heads in front of this person. Tell me what's the problem? After listening to the guesses of the 5 old stars, he remained silent. After a long time, he slowly said, let go and do it. It won't go to that level. The world balance can be maintained if it can be maintained. If it can't be maintained, then forget it. A regime can hold world power for 800 years already. It's been long enough. If it's really rotten to the point of irreparable, then let the world see our power once again. After reshuffling, the world will return to its original stability. What you need to do is to delay the shuffling time as much as possible. After all, the price to be paid for that kind of power is not us. Can be easily tolerated. Quote. Chapter 366 Kibukai Gathering. It's been a few days since the Draco attack in the Shambert Islands. Malin Faldo. A group of navies stood in a circle along the shore of the front plaza. At this moment, the strongest fortress of justice, the naval headquarters, is guarded more strictly than ever before. Because soon, the most terrifying pirate in the world, the uncrowned king of the New World, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, will attack here in order to save his beloved son, Fire Fist Ace. The Navy has again assembled a terrifying combat force, the 3 generals of the Navy, the 100,000 Navy elites, and the King's 7 Seas. 2 young Navy men on guard stared at the sea. The azure blue sea is sparkling, and there is nothing but the endless sea. The same situation always makes people look tired. They watched for a long time, and their minds began to think wildly. That Whitebeard, what kind of person is he? Does the Navy need to take this seriously? With such a force, how could there be any pirates who have ever been caught in the net? Huh! A shrill laughter sounded. The air seemed to be squeezed by something, making a high-pitched pop. What's the matter? Something seemed to fly by just now. A bird. No, something fell. It's a human. Enemy attack. Boom. The violent impact stirred up a large cloud of dust. A person with dark skin and blue lines at the corners of his eyes walked out. He was wearing a black trench coat that fell to his knees. Pants and boots are also black, with a pair of black gloves on his hands. The material of the clothes does not look like cloth, but more like the skin of some kind of beast. A terrifying aura overflowed from him, like some kind of monster. Fierce, wild, violent. Enel was very satisfied with the dress. The raw material of this suit is the toughest skin of the head of an oversized sea king. Flexible and comfortable, and most importantly, dirt-resistant. Just hit the soil directly, and there is no dust at all. This kind of material is not easy to process. In order to make this dress, he went all over Verslow and could not find a suitable tailor. Finally, Stacy, who came to talk business with him, was arrested. I have to say that the Secret Service has a lot of stuff, not even the tailoring skills, and the craftsmanship is pretty good. He gave Miss Stacy a thumbs up in his heart. The huge movement attracted a lot of navies, and they surrounded Enel. But he was frightened by the terrifying aura on his body, swallowing his saliva, and his hands that were close were trembling. Kizaru held the teacup's hand for a while. Is there any beast coming? Could it be the Sea Kings who came to the Navy headquarters? This feeling, it's that guy. Aokiji looked more lazy than Kizaru. There seems to be no hostility, Shichibukai. Jinbei is still in the underwater prison, so it's Enel. Akainu was wearing a baseball cap. Garp's hands trembled a little. Ace was about to be executed, and his mood was complicated and difficult to calm down. At the same time, the obliteration of Enel made him already aware of it. This time let's end it here. Black Coffin Enel. It's so noisy outside. What a rude man. Boya Hancock looked disgusted. Wah 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 wah, that guy can't be quiet anywhere. This way of appearing is still messy as always. Doflamingo sat cross-legged on the table. The thief, ha 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 ha. Enel. Blackbeard shoved a piece of cherry pie into his mouth. Bear has no self-awareness, sitting mechanically in the chair, expressionless. Mahawk raised his head slightly and opened his eagle-like eyes. Hey, what do you mean? Is that how you welcome guests? Don't point at me with that kind of toy, it's very itchy. Enel looked dissatisfied. Who are you? A Navy asked with courage. Answer quickly, otherwise, it will be regarded as an invasion. Stop. A loud voice came from behind them. The Navy consciously divided the sides, and a road gave way. Zan Warring States Marshal. They all saluted. Yo, Mr. Sengoku, long time no see. Enel greeted quite familiarly. It seems that their relationship is very similar. The Warring States had a serious expression. Why are you here so late? In the summoning order of the Chiwahai, it should have said that you should go to Marineford to assemble, and then go to the Navy headquarters to wait for the arrangement. Well, don't be so serious. You also know that I had a conflict with that fat man Charles Rose in the Chambord Islands, so I didn't go to marry Joa, so as not to cause some unpleasant things. And this time the opponent is Whitebeard. I have to bring some weapons, don't I? Get ready. Enel smiled. Sengoku nodded, as he agreed with Enel's explanation. I don't have time to think so much now. Enel, led by a sailor, came to the room where Shichibukai gathered. He saw Blackbeard at a glance. The current Blackbeard has already put on gorgeous clothes, his hands are full of gems, and a short gun is inserted into his waist. No longer the old bum in a tattered shirt. He also had a beard on his chin, and now, Blackbeard, lives up to its name. When he was on Gaia Island, he couldn't see a single beard under his chin. Thief, ha 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 ha, you have become more daring. Blackbeard stared at Enel and spoke first. Oh, you seem to be one step closer to your dream. Don't be too wavy, otherwise it's easy to overturn. Enel smiled maliciously. Titch is a little confused. Overturned. What do you mean? Why do I understand every word you say, but I don't understand it together? Then, Enel turned his eyes aside. Hancock sat in a chair. His jet-black hair was loose, and his dark blue eyes were as magnificent as gems. A look of indifference and arrogance on his delicate and flawless face. The snake-shaped gold pendant added a different kind of beauty to her. Enel finally saw a woman whose appearance was comparable to that of Akutagawa. A real woman is not a cute girl. The white star doesn't count, it's a fish. Ahahahaha, she is as beautiful as a fairy pirate empress, Boya Hancock. What's the matter? Disrespectful man, don't stare at your concubine with that disgusting look. I have something to do, be my woman. Enel said amazingly. Thief, ha 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 ha, really bold. Blackbeard laughed. Wah wah wah, interesting. Doflamingo looked like he was watching a good show. Mahawk also raised his head and watched the development. Hancock said he didn't want to talk to him, and threw a sweet wind at him. Enel instantly petrified. Chapter 367 How Fierce. A strong soul needs a strong body to carry, and a strong body also needs a strong soul to dominate. Just like Auntie has a very strong body, her soul is also tough and unshakable. Generally speaking, the human body and soul are matched with each other. What level of body corresponds to what level of soul? This is true whether you are born strong or trained the day after tomorrow. Through continuous physical training, while the body is getting stronger, the soul is also getting stronger with the breakthrough of will again and again. But Enel is an exception. The strength of his body is not innate, nor is it acquired by self-training. Instead, it uses the power of the fruit to strengthen itself effortlessly. His soul did not follow the footsteps of his body. Although his body became stronger, it was also a burden to his soul, which exercised his soul in disguise. However, it is still far behind the body. The most commendable thing about Enel's will is his tolerance for pain. His fighting mode is to exchange injuries for injuries to see who has the most blood. The more you get beaten, the more you get used to it. He is a normal man, and he can't sit still without a beautiful woman in front of him. So, he got caught. When Hancock was activating his abilities, he felt a mortal danger coming. Hurry up to activate the dark ability, and use the dark weapon to put a layer of dark armor on the body that combines the domineering of the armed color. He was petrified, and only the surface was petrified. Hey Enel, you won't just be dealt with like this, will you? Doflamingo knew Enel's power well, and was surprised by his poor performance. At the same time, there is a strong sense of vigilance against the pirate empress. Some devil fruits are just so unreasonable. The childlike fruit owned by his subordinate, Sugar, is also one of those unreasonable devil fruits. He knew the horror of the power of this type of fruit. When paired with a powerful user, it's even more tricky. Titch glanced at Hancock cautiously, looked at the stone statue of Neil, and didn't know what he was thinking. Such a fierce woman. Lao He is also coward. He likes gentleness. Hey, what are you doing? The king is under the Chihuahua, and internal fighting is forbidden. Besides, at this time, we cannot consume our strength internally. A rear admiral shouted. A rude man suffering in prison forever as a punishment for teasing him. No matter what my concubine does, I will be forgiven. Because my concubine is as beautiful as a god. Beautiful as a fairy. Beautiful as a fairy. It's like a fairy. Several navy eyes were heart-shaped and nodded in agreement. The rear admiral blushed. You guys are too embarrassing for the navy. No matter how the other party is said to be a pirate, although it is legal, it is an enemy after all. How can you make the navy look like this? But to be honest, I also think it's really beautiful. Ah, the same men, they are all vulgar and rude idiots, only the adult is different. Luffy, Hancock thought of Luffy. When I think about it, I look happy and fall into a fantasy that I can't extricate myself from. Luffy doesn't look like a mountain or water, but he is a good girl. Sanji, who has worked so hard for countless years here, can't be compared at all. In this regard, he is not worthy of his shoes. Clap clap. Cracks appear on the statue of Enel. The statue is coming back to life. The majestic vitality emerged, and the terrifying momentum and unparalleled coercion that came at the same time. The scarlet dragon's eyes spread violent and killing intent. The rocks shattered piece by piece and fell to the ground with a clattering sound. Enel was covered in blood. He got his own skin off. In fact, he was quite cruel to himself. Life force rushed to the surface, and the tissue grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, the terrifying injury disappeared. Enel returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. Hancock's pupils shrank. It was the first time he saw someone use this method to decipher her petrification. This man is scary. Wow wow wow, it hurts me. Neil screamed. The terrifying momentum just disappeared in an instant. Young really cruel. Every time I see your fighting style, I can't help my scalp tingle. Brother Doflamingo smiled. A thief, ha ha ha. How can we survive in the sea otherwise? This sea is dark and cruel, and that's why it has the beauty to match it. Blackbeard's eyes flashed right. Aenir's admiration, and more vigilance. Bastard, I don't want it any more. Beautiful breasts. Women should be gentle, just like my Xiaobai. Enel squinted at Hancock. A string of black tic-tac-toe appeared on the latter's forehead, and she saw from Enel's eyes disgust. Damn, what a rude man. Seeing that Hancock was on the verge of breaking out again, Enel hurriedly hid behind Brother Ming, who was not afraid of sweet wind anyway. Hey, Brother Ming's face darkened, and he felt very helpless at Enel's behavior. Well, don't be angry, this is the naval headquarters. If you want to fight, I will accompany you in the future. There will be no results here. Enel hates that fighting with people of the same level is not a life and death battle. Because he was basically the one who was beaten at the beginning, and after a certain amount of time, he was able to fight back when the opponent was injured or his physical strength decreased. This kind of battle, which will be blocked by a few tricks, is destined to have no results, and is very unfriendly to him. Although it's not a big deal to be beaten a few times, there won't be any injuries left, but it hurts. Who would think it's uncomfortable to find nothing? Enel's vigilance against the fruit's ability to directly attack the mind has reached its highest point. If he continues to strengthen his body, he will eventually reach an impeccable level, but this kind of ability to directly hit the soul really has no good countermeasures. After the 5 old stars, Carp, and Titch, there was another Boya Hancock on the must-kill list of the little book in his heart. After thinking about it, he added Crane again. Although Hancock's hatred value is not high, his ability is too dangerous. Crane's words are opposites. The ability to wash the soul cannot be left in the hands of the Navy, so it is better to kill it as soon as possible. Hancock also put away her domineering stance, but when his eyes swept across Enel, there was still a little murderous intent. This kind of killing intent was undisguised, and Enel felt it very clearly. He guessed that the Empress was thinking about how to kill herself. I was also thinking about how to kill her. Does this count as a different kind of sympathy? Enel's thoughts diverged and he started thinking wildly. Chapter 368 16 Years of Gambling. Report: a warship has no orders to go to sea without permission. A navy rushed to the Sengoku side in a hurry. What? The warring states had an ugly face, and it was the last thing he wanted to see that happened before the war. What the hell is going on? Check it out, he growled. King Shichibukai, Marshal D. Titch, and Enovisiris Lafowater's whereabouts unknown. Damn, those 2 bastards, what are they going to do? Could it be? Did he notice anything? Sengoku had a headache. On the sea, among the ocean currents between the 3 major government agencies of the Navy headquarters, the Great Underwater Prison, and the Judicial Island, a warship rode the high-speed ocean currents and sailed towards the Great Undersea Prison. Waiahaha, Captain, is there really no problem with such a crazy plan? That's a big underwater prison. A government fortress that has never fallen. And the Navy headquarters can send reinforcements at any time. Are we enough? Bosses was so panicked that a group of people also had smiles on their faces. Thief, ha 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 ha, high risk comes with high reward. It is precisely because the Navy headquarters can support at any time that we should seize this opportunity. There is not much time before the execution of Fire Fist Ace. The Navy needs to guard against the Old Father's attack and no time to take care of other. The Great Underwater Prison, countless vicious criminals are imprisoned there. Aren't they the best candidates to be our partners? Blackbeard sat on the deck and laughed proudly. Captain, will they be willing to join such an obscure pirate group as us? Lafayette held the sword to his chin, from the tail to the hilt. Fame will be there soon. As long as there is power, nothing is a problem. Isn't breaking the Great Underwater Prison the way we show our power? No one will refuse the temptation to return to the sea. The longer they are suppressed, the more ardent their desire for their dreams will become. The thief, ha 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 ha. When people are faced with the choice of fate, they will choose the side that is favorable to themselves. A smart person will not give up this opportunity. Oka stared at the stern, looking far away. He seemed to be searching for something. Cough cough, Poison Q looked half-dead. I heard that Magellan is a master of poison. Oka, you've been looking over there for a long time, is there any problem? Titch turned his head and asked. I always feel as if someone is watching, but there is no trace at all. You're overthinking it. No one can escape your detection. Titch is very attentive to Oka's ability. He is an ultra-long-range sniper who can snipe from unseen islands and shoot seabirds. The detection ability is also one of the best. Oka didn't answer, and still looked at the direction of the stern with a puzzled expression. In the air 50 kilometers away from them, the proverb followed the Blackbeards with the same speed as a warship. Hey Milo, it's so far away, it might be too late if we rush over there. Enel stood on the bow. I can't get closer. Their sniper skills are good if you get closer. You may be noticed, and now he is already suspicious of our existence. Milo sat on the mast. Enel, Carter, Akutagawa, and Milo are all eager to fight. This is their first hunting for the whole regiment. This battle is related to whether their team can continue to exist. If it succeeds, then their names will be resounding throughout the world. If they failed, Enel lost the possibility of rapid growth, and no longer had the qualifications to lead them, and the team was disbanded from then on. Enel recruited his 3 partners just for this moment. From the very beginning, he thought that the dark fruit could bring him a fundamental transformation, so from the moment he went to sea, he was already thinking of this devil fruit. He knows that there is another person who is also looking for this most ferocious natural fruit. Marshal D. Teach, who usurped the Junjun fruit in the original book, became a formidable opponent of the 4 emperors. Enel actually prefers to walk alone. His fruits give him the possibility of being invincible in the future, but that is also from the perspective of growth. The sea is very dangerous. There are not a few people who die on the road. Before he grows up, he needs a partner to help him. Carter became his most loyal companion. For many years they had lived and died, and they regarded each other as family. As for Milo and Akutagawa Huang, there were not many bonds of friendship. Before they and Enel, it was more of kindness. Enel helped them a lot and made them owe a lot of money. On the basis of this gratitude, if Enel's strength is enough to convince them, they don't mind honoring Enel as the leader. Enel prepared with both hands in order to get the dark fruit. The first is to cooperate with Don Quixote da Flamingo to establish a strong influence in the underground world. The best case is to be able to find the dark fruit one step ahead of Titch. But it was still stolen by Titch because of an accident. Then use second-hand preparations, kill Titch, and then use force to win the ability of the dark fruit. Enel's own growth rate is limited, and without huge resources, his strength will stagnate. According to the plot, the 2 easiest times to harvest vitality, the big underwater prison and the war on the top, will only happen after Titch gets the dark fruit. He didn't have the confidence to grow to the point where he could fight the entire Blackbeard pirates alone before he harvested these 2 waves of vitality. Then you must find a relatively reliable partner. The encounter with Carter was an accident. He first saw Carter, just to find someone to guide him and act as a lifeguard when he fell into the water. But Carter really gave him a big surprise. The combat power has grown enough to be a combat partner. And Akutagawa and Milo were what he was looking for on purpose. Even without the 2 of them, he would have found someone like him who could act as a partner. When he met Shiji, he asked him to teach Akutagawa Huang, go to the Sky Island to find the Fruit of Thunder for Milo, and try to improve the strength of his partner, just for the current action. Kill Tiki and capture the dark fruit. Enel's second-hand plan was neither clever nor rigorous, and full of too many variables. Once the entrustment is not human, then he may fail. After all, such a long time is full of too many variables, and his own actions may also trigger the butterfly effect, destroying the plot beyond recognition. Even though Enel deliberately restrained himself and did not change the general trend of the pirate world, some subtleties were beyond his control. He is usually a little cautious, but when there are huge interests in front of him, he doesn't mind taking a big gamble. Titch can gamble his entire life on a phantom fruit and spend 20 years on it. He could gamble his life on Shiliu's following. Enel can too. In the world of pirates, there is never a shortage of madness. And Neil's grasp is greater than Tick. The stakes are also much smaller, and even if he fails he just lacks the shortcut to invincibility, and he needs to spend more time accumulating resources to slowly improve himself. Enel's gamble was halfway through. The general trend of the pirate world has not changed much, and the partners are strong enough and trustworthy. The final closing stage is now. Chapter 369 Chaos Underwater Prison. Because they were in a high-speed current, if Titch fell into the water and passed out and was washed away by the current, even Carter would not be able to pick him up in time. So Enel didn't rush to make a move, and kept hanging behind them at a certain distance. Miro, speed up. Keep getting closer and they'll find out. It doesn't matter, if Blackbeard still has the possibility of retreating at the beginning, but he is already so close to the underwater prison, then he will not retreat because he is afraid of me. There is a reason why he must not give up. If he is not strong enough, even if the Whitebeard pirates were destroyed in this battle, he would not be able to quickly occupy Whitebeard's territory and become the new 4 emperors. Enel stood on the edge of the boat, her hair fluttering in the wind. Hum, a new era is finally about to begin. Blackbeard, whoever wins and who loses, who wins and who wins, let us divide the winner. Clack clack. The engine roared, and the frequency of rotor rotation suddenly accelerated. With a stronger push, Proverbs broke through the clouds and quickly approached the warship Blackbeard was riding. Oka discovered the motto. Sure enough, it wasn't an illusion just now, Captain Titch, we might be in trouble. Trouble. Oka nodded, it's Shichibukai, Black Coffin Enel. They should have been following us shortly after we left the naval headquarters. In Oka's line of sight, Enel stood on the bow of the ship, facing the gust of wind, folded his arms on his chest, and his windbreaker swayed like a flag in the battlefield. Enel thief I don't know what his purpose is. Is it the friends who are waiting for us to rescue in the underwater prison, or is it me? Tiki laughed proudly. Captain, now is not the time to laugh, right? No matter what the situation is, the people who come here are not good. Do you want to kill them directly here? Bosses had a look of war. Oka, how far is it? Blackbeard asked. It's still a long way off, and on this trend, they won't be able to catch up to us until we reach the underwater prison. Then don't worry about them and move on. Isn't it more certain to pick up our partners? And naval battles are not good for us. A mere warship can't withstand a battle of our level. Soon after, Blackbeard arrives at the great underwater prison. Why did that guy come here? The face of a navy on the warship guarding the underwater prison was full of surprise, and at the same time there was a strong sense of crisis. Go and investigate their warships, commanded the Major General with the binoculars. Please wait, we did not issue a request for help. Now is an extraordinary period, and we cannot take this responsibility. A jailer did not attack the unknown Blackbeard, but strongly discouraged him. Please wait until we get confirmation from the Navy headquarters. It doesn't matter, aren't we companions? It's because it's an extraordinary period, so we can't delay otherwise. That guy is coming. Blackbeard walked over directly. But pirates can't go to prison anyway, He suddenly lowered his head and found that the ground was a little different. The rich darkness turned the ground into an abyss, engulfing them one by one. We are from the government's side. Thieves, The darkness swept through everything, and the gate made of Halu stone was instantly twisted under the terrifying gravity, and then turned into slag. Enemy attack. A new intruder appeared, the king's lower Chiwahai, Marshal D. Tick. There is an obvious invasion intention, the purpose is unknown. Please instruct. Help. It's over. Hearing the various noisy voices coming from the phone bug, Magellan looked solemn. He had just dealt with a layer of riotous pirates. But the situation is still not optimistic. The 4th floor has escaped prisoners headed by the Straw Hat Gang. The 2nd floor has the clown Bucky, and now Blackbeard Tiki. The underwater prison is facing unprecedented challenges. Compared with the successful escape of the Golden Lion Shiki, the turmoil has a wider scope and more serious chaos. Magellan knew that at such a moment, the naval headquarters was unable to take care of coming here. Fire Fist Ace's execution is imminent, and Whitebeard will appear at any time. Maybe Malenford has already started a fight. Therefore, the undersea prison can only rely on themselves. Hannibal, who was guarding the entrance to the third floor 40% of the time, felt that he had a great responsibility. His inner panic was like a swarm of locusts flying in the sky. So he had a bold idea. "Let's go back to the monitoring room to eat persimmons," Hannibal suggested. He felt like he needed something to eat to quell his shock. "Stop kidding, Deputy Director," growled the guards. "Director Magellan is calling." "What? To release Shiryu?" "It doesn't matter." Hannibal looked unreliable, but he also knew the danger of Shiryu. "It's not what I want, but that's the only way it can be. It's unrealistic to expect support from the Navy headquarters, and we can only handle it on our own. I'll bear all the consequences. Just do your best to protect the fourth floor, we'll get there right away." "Yes, I want to be promoted." Hannibal had a serious look on his face. "No, let's slip up for justice." Magellan was no stranger to it, and he knew what his old buddy looked like, but he was still a little speechless. At the same time, there is also a touch of tiredness. He is indeed powerful, but he also has an inescapable responsibility for making trouble like this. With so much chaos, even Magellan felt a little overwhelmed. Fortunately, the Straw Hats didn't release all the criminals on the 6th floor, otherwise it would be really out of control. You know, the criminals locked there are monster-level characters who were erased from history because they were too vicious. They are very powerful. Anyone who escapes and mixes into a country can cause immeasurable disaster. Crescent Moon Hunter, Katrina Dipin, Huge Battleship, San Juan Hungry Wolf, Large Wine Barrel, Buster Choate, Evil King, Abaro Pizarro. These famous pirates in the past are all imprisoned in that floor, and there are even legendary pirates like Red Earl, Baroric Redfield, who used to keep pace with Whitebeard and Roger. It takes a lot of effort to deal with one of these. Like Redfield, Magellan has no confidence that he can settle it. When Luffy, Jinbei, and Crocodile kept defeating the jailers and advancing upwards, Magellan was reluctant to chase after him. Blackbeard finally met Shiryu. Chapter 370 Bucky God's Solo Show. At the entrance of the advancing city, it was a mess. Broken rocks, twisted doors, and groaning jailers lying on the ground. A group of sailors were running up and down, carrying stretchers and helping the wounded. Around the advanced city, there were already fleets with more warships than the Demon Slayer Order. This is a special period arrangement made in response to the Whitebeard pirates. Blackbeard raided the Great Prison on a warship, catching the Navy on the warships around the prison by surprise. After realizing Blackbeard's attack intention, the commanders immediately issued a response order, but it was still a step too late. Titch has invaded the interior of the big prison. The Navy rallied a step slower, not causing much trouble to Blackbeard. But by accident, it became blocked in front of Enel. 7-7 Marshal sees. Why is there another Chihuahua? Did they defect collectively? Damn, as expected, pirates are unbelievable. Enel, what exactly do you want? Asked a Navy. Don't be nervous. The new era is recruiting to us, greet it with a smile. I'm here for some daring Shichibukai, and it looks like you haven't been able to stop him. Don't worry, just leave it to me. We are companions. Everyone works for the government, so let's help you. Enel looked righteous. Stop it for me, it will be considered an invasion. Ha 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 ha, small ghost, your face seems to have not been used. Who said that the brush face can pass? Golden Lion fluttered from the rumor, staying on the left of Enel. His long golden hair swayed in the wind, and his eyes were full of domineering and arrogance that looked down on the world. With a cigar in his mouth, the long sword used as his legs shone with cold light. Golden Lion. Why, how did this guy show up here? Golden Lion, have you joined forces with Whitebeard? Damn it. It's over, we're going to die, we can't be rivals. The name of a man, the shadow of a tree. Sky's mighty name was deeply etched into the minds of his enemies. Even just showing up is a huge blow to these ordinary navy. Don't be shaken, they are only 5 people. The motto was still in the sky, and only Enel, Carter, Milo, Akutagawa and Shiki came down. Che, it's really troublesome, wouldn't it be good to stand by obediently, or run for your life? Why do you have to come up and die? Enel looked indifferently at the navy who had been agitated. I said I just brush my face and I can get in right. Ah yes, Captain. Received, Captain. 2 figures, one red and one blue, rushed into the center of the navy from both sides of him. Akutagawa Huang was wearing a red and white samurai uniform, and the 7-star sword of the demon sword exuded a scarlet and strange light. One after another, red sword lights swung out of his hands, cutting the navy, blocking the road into 2 pieces. Blood spilled out, dyeing the road red. The strong smell of blood lingered in the wind for a long time. Milo, dressed in blue and white, was covered in lightning. Whoosh! No one could get close to him. All the navy twitched and fell to the ground just a few steps away from him, then turned black and smelt burnt. It's like the smell of using an electric mosquito swatter to electrify a mosquito for a long time. Lay to go. Huh. A strong electric current was directed into the ground from under Milo's feet, and spread to the surroundings in an instant. All the navy fell directly to the ground. Advance the city's first line of defense, destroy it all. What a stupid navy, times have changed. New legends are rising, old legends are getting old. We still look at the world with the eyes of the past, but it will be outdated. Hum hum hum. Let's go. If Titch really gathers the criminals on the 6th floor, there will still be a lot of trouble. Enel stepped on the plasma and walked forward. On the stairs on the 2nd floor, he met a legendary figure, Bucky, the god of luck who is said to have overlord color. God Bucky is very lucky, and he is gathering a bunch of brainless fans, and he wants to show off his skills. Originally, he had nothing to do with the poison wall that Magellan made to block their escape route. But Tiki's intrusion just opened a channel for them. Those brainless fans, of course, attribute this to their great Captain Bucky. In fact, Bucky himself was stunned at the time. I rely on. When did I do this? I'm so arrogant. Seeing that the pirates believed this, Bucky also admitted it. Since there is no obstacle in front of you, then of course run away quickly. So they bumped into Enel, who was approaching. Ah, nose. A trace of red blood flowed from Bucky's nose. Captain Bucky, you got a nosebleed. What? That bastard said my nose is red. Bucky misheard angrily. Damn it, didn't you see that Captain Bucky was about to leave? You bastard, you want to die, right? Half of Bucky, who was floating in the air, glared at Enel and said. Mr. 3 on the side was already breaking out in a cold sweat. The 3 on the head drooped down. He looked at Enel tremblingly and poked Bucky's lower body. But when Bucky was talking, he didn't notice that Mr. 3 saw Carter looking at him, so he quickly retracted his hand and retreated into the crowd, trying his best to reduce his sense of existence. Hey you kid, talk. What's the matter? Did you see that my Uncle Bucky was so frightened that he couldn't speak? Bucky was confident. Enel quietly watched him perform. Ah, how dare you offend Captain Bucky, I can't spare you. Hang him. Kill him. Absolutely can't let it go easily. Shut up, you bastards. As soon as Bucky waved his hand, the pirates stopped and roared. Everyone is a pirate, and it's not easy to live in this sea. We have to be considerate of each other. Forget about such trivial matters. There's no need to kill people just because of this. Bucky looked compassionate. Ah, what a merciful Captain Bucky. I'm so impressed. Your heart is as vast as the sea. Your spirit is like the sea, and people sincerely worship you. The brainless fans automatically made up the picture. At this moment, Bucky, the holy light is shining, his face is full of holy brilliance, and it seems that he can still vaguely see a pair of holy angel wings behind him. Captain Bucky, it is the luck of my life to meet you. Please let us follow you. The two pirates were moved to tears. Captain Bucky. Captain Bucky. After the tears, there were waves of cheers. Bucky looked smug and closed his eyes, enjoying the feeling of being adored. Especially those who admire him, all of them are pirates with good combat power. Mr. 3 is thinking about how to escape, or beg for mercy. He thinks Bucky is probably hopeless. Chapter 371 Bucky God Solo Show 2. Carter looked at this group of pirates whose IQ was not online, with a clear look. No wonder they were caught and locked up. It's just unreasonable that this kind of idiot can still get along. Bucky came back to his senses and said to Enel, "Don't thank me, I'm just so kind." Enel's face was expressionless. Bucky's fans couldn't stand it anymore, and stepped forward and said, "Hey kid, do you know who this lord is? He turned this big underwater prison upside down and rescued us from the prison, the savior, Lord Bucky. Now that you know his greatness, don't hurry up and give way." Milo. Akutagawa Huang. Enel felt that Bucky still wanted to sell him one's face, so he said, "Captain Bucky. I've admired it for a long time. I hope there will be opportunities for cooperation in the future." Enel took the initiative to step aside and walked past him. Carter and Milo looked at Enel in confusion, wondering why he made such a decision. Shouldn't the heart be dug out directly in the past? They didn't ask any further questions and followed Enel. Finally, when he passed by Bucky, he said, "Isn't this the red-nosed kid on Roger's ship? The red-haired kid who often acts with you has become a great pirate with the same name as Whitebeard. What do you do, mixed into this tragic situation?" "Bastard. Who said I had a red nose?" Bucky was furious. This time it wasn't a hallucination. When he turned his head and saw that it was Ski who was speaking, his anger instantly turned to consternation and then to panic. Golden Lion, Shiki. A snot hung from his red nose. Bucky's eyes were wide, and his legs couldn't help shaking. Golden Lion. Mr. 3 just recognized Enel just now, knowing that he is a character of the same level as his original boss. This time, when I saw such a legendary figure, I couldn't calm down. Ski ignored Bucky and followed Enel and his party. After the initial shock, the escaped prisoners were immediately excited. "Hey, did you hear that just now? That Golden Lion took the initiative to talk to Captain Bucky." "Yes, Bucky-sama is indeed a great person." Captain Bucky also scolded the Golden Lion, but the other party didn't dare to say a word. The pirates looked up in admiration. Mr. 3 had sweat on his face, and complained wildly in his heart. "What's going on with your brain circuits? Obviously, Shiji completely treats Bucky as a junior, right? And in the end, people were afraid, they simply ignored Bucky. Did you notice? He also said red hair. The great pirate with the same name as Whitebeard. Could it be that redhead? One of the 4 emperors, Redhead Shanks. Captain Bucky, is this true? You've been on Roger's ship before. And you've been on a lot of trips with Redhead. Could it be you and that redhead are good brothers, right? By the way, I remembered that the leader just now seems to be the Black Coffin Neil, one of the 7 seas under the king. Even that kind of big man has to make way for the captain, and he also said that he wants to cooperate in the future." "You idiot," Captain Bucky dares to scold the Golden Lion as a bastard, and the red-haired man who calls himself a brother, a mere Shichibukai, of course he will curry favor with him. As expected, it's our Captain Bucky. Wow, they were moved to tears. Bucky looked confused and subconsciously wanted to deny it. Although he wanted to deny it very much, if the group of people who were beaten down knew that they thought so, he would be finished. "You guys are just kidding me." But his fans didn't believe it at all and thought it was his humble words. Bucky burst into tears, but he didn't dare to tell the truth, otherwise the psychological gap would make the pirates tear him to pieces angrily. Mr. 3 is about to cry stupidly by these scumbag fans. But Bucky had been on Roger's boat, and knowing Shanks did come as a surprise to him. The episode that just met Bucky made Enel feel better. Like his nickname, Bucky is a joyful clown. Ha 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 ha. Milo laughed. It's so interesting. Those pirates, are they idiots? No, they are clowns. Enel replied. The clown? Ah, it is indeed a clown. Don't underestimate clowns. They are the people who know how to hide themselves best. Whether they are crying or laughing, sad or happy, all you can see is thick makeup and the same smile. When they laugh at you, maybe thinking about how much Bailey your head is worth. Why do I sound like I'm talking about yourself? Sky took over. It's not me, I'm not like this. I can't learn to hide my emotions. Enel spread his hands. That's why you gave us 2 swords when you first met me, right? Just looking at your attitude makes me a little unhappy. I didn't expect you to grow to such a level. Shiki sighed with emotion. You are actually a clown, and you know how to be patient. Enel is noncommittal. Mr. Ski, I hope you will just watch it quietly. Don't do some misleading actions, otherwise it will affect our friendship. I won't do anything anymore. Just come to see how far you can do it. Huang's words make me curious. What kind of power can you show to question this world? Then you will wait and see. I will have a transformation here. Just get that power. I will have the eligibility of the rapid. Mine Heng, Enel eyes hot. No, Director Magellan. Blackbeard, attacked. What? Didn't I send Shiryu to stop him? Was it killed? In addition, a new intruder has appeared. Also Enel Viserys Laforte of King Shichibukai. And Jin. Haha. The phone worm lost the signal instantly. Hey, what's the matter? Answer quickly. Magellan roared. Damn pirates. An invisible realm centered on proverbs, shrouded the entire underwater prison, together with the dozen or so warships. Herring touched the tentacles on Caroline's head curiously. Wow, soft, cool, so comfortable to touch. Huo, come and try it too, it's really fun. Ha ha ha, Lord Herring, let go, it's so itchy, ha 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 ha. Caroline laughed and burst into tears. Chapter 372 Encounter with Magellan. Enel has not encountered any obstacles, and the road has been opened by Blackbeard. Along the way are the corpses of twisted jailers. Occasionally a few still breathed, lying on the ground groaning in pain. Darkness spread from Enel's feet, covering all the corpses and wounded, and a trace of vitality flowed into Enel's body like a river. It is not used immediately to improve one's physical fitness, but is temporarily stored. Da 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 da. The sound of rapid footsteps came from the front. Flee, that guy Magellan is going after him. Huh. Luffy looked up and saw Enel approaching. You are Enel and Golden Lion. Luffy came to a sudden stop. What's the matter, Straw Hat Boy? Don't stop, that guy is about to chase. Ivankov looked forward and hurriedly braked. What's the matter, you? Jinping ran here and stopped as well. Crocodile's eyes narrowed slightly. How come you are here? Enel Viserys Laforwater. Enel, Jinbei looked at Enel with a complicated expression. Because of Enel, the situation of the mermaids is much better than the original. On his turf, at least, safety is largely assured. Even ordinary mermaids can travel to Verslow and enjoy the feeling of living in the sun. This made Neptune and the 3 mermaid princes less pessimistic about realizing Princess Otahime's wish. However, Jinbei always felt that Enel made him unpredictable, and there was a vague sense of danger. Not long ago, he injured the benefactor of Mermaid Island, Whitebeard. Enel's recent whereabouts are strange and uncharacteristic, giving Jinpei a very bad premonition. Yo Jinpei, Luffy, long time no see. And Crocodile, you guys are so embarrassed. Enel greeted. Enel, what are you and Ski doing here? Luffy asked. Ah, Ski. Jinpei and Ivankov's surprised eyes almost popped out. No matter what purpose you have, but for Magellan, you are all enemies, right? Crocodile looked calm. Ah, that's right, we are considered intruders. Straw Hat. Magellan's roar came from behind. Damn it, that monster is about to catch up. What are the people in front doing? Run away, the pirate behind shouted anxiously. Not good, Enel, I don't have time to chat with you. The poisoner is coming. Luffy looked panicked. Oh, then you walk slowly. As for Magellan Milo, hold him back. Enel continued to walk forward. Understood, Captain. The pirates ran past Enel, but Crocodile did not run away, but stopped and looked at Enel's back. Hey Croc boy, aren't you leaving yet? Why escape? Shiki, I kneel, Akutagawa, do you think this lineup still needs to escape? Crocodile looked stern. Oh, that's also hip-hop. We're safe for now. Ivankov reacted, and then relaxed. The fame of Shiki alone is enough, and if he can be as famous as Whitebeard, he will never be weaker no matter what. Although Magellan did show a formidable power that was unmatched by them in the closed environment of Advanced City, they didn't think that a legendary figure like Shiki would be unable to stop him. Damn, are pirates really unreliable? First Blackbeard, and then you. Magellan and Enel looked at each other from a distance. Sheep horns, bat wings, typical demon image. Enel immediately confirmed the identity of the tall man in front of him. Enel's height of 2 meters is not too short, but the human body in the pirate world is obviously abnormal. Ski. Magellan looked solemn when he saw the golden lion beside Enel. Now that you've come here again, are you remembering your lost legs? Gia ha 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 ha, I took care of you a lot at the beginning. Although I really want to go back, the protagonist this time is not me. I'm just a spectator. Hey Magellan, how about joining us? Enel invited. No matter what your goals are, I don't have time to waste with you. Since you're here, don't leave. Let me all go to jail. Poison Dragon. Magellan made a big move as soon as he came up. Blackbeard was instantly killed by him. Carter responded quickly, took out what seemed to be a mask, and then the armed color hardened. Shiki manipulated the surrounding air, forming an air hood that enveloped himself and Akutagawa. Milo turned into a thunderbolt, and the dazzling silver light illuminated the entire space. With a deafening roar, all the venom was dispersed by lightning. 60 million volts Thunder Beast. I'll leave it to you here. Enel walked past Magellan. Wait, stop for me. He wanted to intercept, but was repelled by a thunderbolt. Shaking his numb arm, Magellan looked solemn. Rainbow Fruit. Intercepting you is my mission. I won't let you hinder my Captain. Poison has no effect on thunder and lightning. Milo's face was relaxed. This mission was not difficult for him. There is restraint between devil fruit abilities. Magellan's poison corrodes sand, so even Crocodile wouldn't dare to touch him. But when encountering pure energy like Milo, without a physical nature system, you can only be blinded. Lightning itself has a very high energy level, and its destructive power is huge. But it is also difficult to attach domineering because it is pure energy without physicality. If he were to deal with a natural system like his 3 generals, his attack power would be greatly reduced. But Magellan has an entity, which means that Milo's energy attacks will work on him, but his greatest weapon, poison, is ineffective against Milo. The battle has not yet begun, and Magellan is in a very unfavorable situation just by comparing the fruits. The fruit of thunder, what a surprise. Crocodile's pupils shrank, and the strength of Enel's team was beyond his imagination. Seeing this scene, Jinbei didn't have the slightest look of joy on his face. Whether it is Akutagawa or Enel, the relationship with the Whitebeard pirates is definitely not friendly. The former even defeated many of their affiliated pirates, killed many people, and never died with the Whitebeard pirates. Such a group with terrifying power suddenly appears, and at this critical moment, it will become a force that changes the situation of the war. That man, what is he trying to do? We seem to be underestimating him. Cold sweat formed on Jinping's forehead. Chapter 373 Enel's Crew vs. Blackbeard Pirates. The thief, ha 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 ha, saved. Titch stood up from the ground after being rescued by Magellan. It's really a close life. If I didn't come, you guys would all be dead. Shiliu bit his cigar. We ha 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 ha, but we're still alive. This is fate too. We have another good luck. Poison Q sat on the back of his emaciated old horse. However, I really thought I was going to die. Lafayette wiped the antidote from his face with a handkerchief and sorted out his clothes. It's life and death, those who are afraid will lose. Thief, ha ha ha, let's live in the next moment. Shiryu, thanks to you for saving us, welcome you to join us again, I feel that you will be a good partner. Even if I stay here, my future is over. I've been looking forward to meeting a man like you. But it seems that trouble is coming again. Ah, it's them. After a little delay, they were caught up. Titch turned around and looked in the direction of the third flight of stairs. I kneel. Thief, ha 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 ha, you guys have come here. Have you dealt with that Magellan? Tiki looked solemn. No, you underestimate Magellan. That guy is not so easy to deal with. To save time, I left a partner to hold him back. But it seems to be a little late. You were lucky. Titch. Nell stared at Titch, feeling as if the protagonist's halo was possessed. If Shiryu was one step behind, Enel would have been able to kill Tiki, who had been poisoned by Magellan, effortlessly. In fact, he was thinking of coming over to make up for the knife. Huh, Shiki, why are you with him? Why even people like you are called his subordinates? Blackbeard looked at Shiji and said. Obviously, this group of people was headed by Enel, but Ski stood silently on one side, which surprised him. No, don't worry about me, I'm just here to watch a good show. Shiji made it to a broken stone pillar, expressing that he had no intention of intervening. Oh, is that so? Do you want to join us? Come and conquer this world with me. Titch opened his mouth to solicit. Ah, conquering the world. Jaya ha 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 Enel, this kid is much more daring than you. Shiki laughed. For something like courage, it's only useful if you have to live Tiki, that's the end of the luck. It's just for me to put in a little more effort. Black scales covered Enel's arm, and his right hand transformed into dragon claws. The dark claws are thick and heavy, with a chilling edge. Thief, ha 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 ha, I won't say much about you. Life and death depend on fate. Let's fight, the loser retire, the winner can get everything. Darkness appeared on Blackbeard's hand. Kill to kill. Shiryu moved, and the long sword came out of its sheath, and it was fast enough to cover it. A cold light slashed towards Enel's neck, and there was a faint trace of blood on the bloodthirsty knife. Ding! A crisp voice sounded, and Shiryu's sword was blocked by a long sword. The straight blade is decorated with gorgeous patterns, and the 7 gems sparkle. This long sword, whose shape is closer to art than weapons, exudes a strange and ominous aura. It seems that the resentment of countless dead souls breathes endless curses on it. The faint red light visible to the naked eye emanated from the 7 gems, and the complicated decoration seemed to come alive, turning into blood and flowing along the ravine. Huh, this guy is really a problem child. It's the first time I've seen such a demonic sword. I'm afraid this is the strongest demon sword in the world, right? What's its name? Shiryu was right, commenting on the 7-star sword. Ah, 7-star sword. It's telling me that it wants to drink your blood. Akutagawa Huang looked calm, and the sea blue eyes contained killing intent. If you can do it, feel free to try it out. My Murasama can't stand it anymore. It's craving the blood of a strong man like you. Ping, ding, ping. Countless sword shadows staggered in the air, and in an instant, they had already fought hundreds of times. There are no gorgeous tricks, and there is no overflowing sword energy. It seems to be just an ordinary level of battle, hand-to-hand combat, and swords are agitated. But such a simple and unpretentious confrontation contains infinite murderous intent. Far more dangerous than long-range combat. Even if sword energy can slash mountains and rivers, for a swordsman, the strongest sword is still the sword in their hands. The sword energy is only an extension, and the body of the sword gathers the most terrifying edge and power. Not bad. Akutagawa Huang's mouth curled into a smile, and the frequency of swinging his sword increased a bit. It's been a long time since I had such a good time. There are too few opportunities to meet swordsmen who can communicate with each other. Ha 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 ha. Shiryu's cigar was lost, and there was a trace of blood on his shoulder. It's really a feminine sword. It's the first time I've seen such a feminine and gorgeous sword. It's like a colorful poisonous snake. His face was full of excitement. Shiki was smoking a cigar, watching Akutagawa Huang and Shiryu's confrontation, showing an interested look. That guy Huang, the sword style has changed. It seems that he is a little more domineering than before. He looks a bit like me. Huh. Sky sighed lightly, and a plume of smoke slowly rose. Oka raised his gun and shot at Enel, but Carter blocked it with a paw. Huh, cat. Oka slightly lowered his pressure. Why-ah-ha-ha. Vashes jumped up and charged towards Enel. Catwalk pendulum. Carter appeared in front of him instantly. A punch hit him in the face. Boom. Vassos flew out and smashed to the ground, and the aisle began to shatter. Ah damn. Vashes twisted his neck. What's the matter with this cat? It doesn't look like it's a simple guy. Duque said, spitting blood from his mouth. This guy always gives people the feeling that he will die of illness at any time, but he can't swallow his life in such a breath. It seems that our opponent is him. Lafayette drew out his crutches. Boss's mouth twitched. The four of them worked together to deal with a cat. Isn't that a bit too embarrassing? But soon, he realized that it was not ashamed at all. The four of them seemed to be not rivals. Carter wielded a 6-meter-long sword, with a domineering armament covering the blade, majestic. It sank with great force with every blade, with unstoppable power. Like the top of a mountain. The attacks of Oka and others were all blocked by Carter's dexterous avoidance or with domineering hair covering the armed color. The four were beaten by Carter. They are speechless in their hearts. I rely on, where is the cat? Why so fierce? And that kind of body, how is it so sensitive? In fact, in terms of sensitivity, Carter is still above Enel. Chapter 374 Milo vs. Magellan. As Titch's partner, his strength is of course recognized by him. But now seeing the four of them joining forces and being chased and beaten by the anal cat, their faces were as black as the bottom of a pot. It suddenly occurred to him that Enel had just said that he had a partner to hold Magellan down. His neck froze. If it wasn't for luck that Rashiliu had just joined the team, and Magellan helped him share some of the pressure, according to their original lineup of the Blackbeard Pirates, there is no chance of winning against Enel's team at all. I am so lucky you have found such a good partner. Tiki said with envy in his tone. I'm lucky it's because of them, so I'm sure I can deal with you now. Darkness poured out from Enel, and scales emerged, with dark blue lines in the darkness. Huge membrane wings stretched from behind, and sharp bone spurs pierced the forehead and bent back. Enel's height soared from 2 meters to 5 meters. Blackbeard, who originally needed to look up, was now like a child in front of him, only reaching his stomach. A dragon's tail with a crescent-shaped end is constantly tossing to and fro. The dragon's tail is slender, like a steel whip. With a chilling terrifying power, the ground rubbed by the tail seemed to have been chiseled by a chisel, leaving a neat gully. The blue lines at the corners of the eyes expanded and grew upward, and half of the forehead was covered by this mysterious line. What? Enel breathed a sigh of relief. Black smoke came out from both sides of his mouth, and the sharp white teeth could be faintly seen. The darkness swept over his body, and finally solidified, as if the whole body was wrapped in a layer of film. Half-dragon form dark armament. An invisible coercion continued to spread outward with him as the center. The power of terror swept all over the place. The people who were fighting were stagnant. Shike narrowed his eyes. Is it Overlord? It seems a little different. Bucky shuddered. This feeling was familiar to him. Looking at the cheap brothers who fainted one by one, he was thoughtful. Hey you guys, what's the matter? Mr. Two looked at Mr. Two and the fallen pirates with a puzzled expression. Could it be that some enemy that we didn't find is attacking? Jinpei, what was that just now? Luffy looked into the depths of the prison. That is a power called domineering, but this should be the ability of that guy Enel, and it seems to be a little different from the general tyrant. I don't know exactly how. Huh, it's starting over there too. Milo turned to look at the 4th floor. What's the matter? Who is that Enel fighting? I should have solved Blackbeard. Who is it? Magellan looked puzzled, and then he saw Milo looking leisurely in the direction of the 4th floor, a flash of anger at his casual look. He was underestimated. When fighting, don't look around. A domineering punch wrapped in armament hit Milo. With a flash of lightning, Milo appeared behind him, aiming the white pistol at Magellan's back. Thunder flash. A dazzling thunder column rushed towards the ladder. Magellan jumped forward to dodge. Oh, dodged. So what about this move? Milo took out another black pistol. This is Liu Huo's dual guns modified from thunder drums, black flash and white thunder. The ability to store thunderbolts means that Milo's battles are effortless at all. Magellan couldn't attack him even after the distance. It's just a game mentality, just hitting the target. Thunderbolt multiplayer. Bew bew bew. One after another thunder light hit Magellan. Damn, Magellan didn't completely escape such an intensive attack, and could only resist a few times with his armed color. No injuries, just a little numbness in the body. However, in such a battle, the slightest delay in action would put him at a disadvantage. Speed equals weight. Have you ever been kicked by light? A voice came from his ear, followed by a leg that glowed blue. Damn it. Of course Magellan knew Kizaru. As a high-level naval force, they also had a lot of contacts. He knew very well how powerful Kizaru's signature sexual attack was. Boom. Boom. Magellan was kicked and smashed into the wall, sending rubble flying and smoke rising. He stood up and rubbed his sore shoulders. He reacted quickly and used the armored domineering defense before being attacked. Milo's attack was not as powerful as Kizaru's, and only slightly injured Magellan. After discovering that it was a false alarm, Magellan breathed a sigh of relief. If the opponent can really restore Kizaru's speed of light kick, this fight will not be necessary. The paralysis of lightning, coupled with the terrifying attack power of the speed of light kick, even he has no confidence to resist it for long. Magellan gymnastics are not weak, but they are not strong either. The characteristics of his poisonous fruit and instant death are the most terrifying. Too bad it doesn't work for Ray. Although it is very powerful, it is a lot worse than Kizaru. Whether it is the speed of kicking or domineering. Well, actually, I still have a stronger attack, but I don't need it. For now, it's enough to hold you back. When the winner is decided over there, my mission will be completed. Magellan looked gloomy, but there was nothing he could do. Milo's terrifying strength made him not dare to be careless. In this case, ignoring Milo and running directly to the fourth floor was simply courting death. The thief. Ha 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 ha. Enel, it looks like you left a lot of energy when you fought me on Gaia Island last time. Blackbeard looked at Enel with a solemn expression. Even though he purposely built a sea tower stone dagger in order to deal with Enel, he still has no certainty of victory. Enel's gesture gave him a full sense of oppression. The unbridled dragons might added even more weight to this sense of oppression. A darker darkness than Enel rose from behind Titch. Leave some spare power. It's only natural since I wasn't sure to keep you last time, I can't fully display my abilities. Penetration. Even Milo and Magellan, who were fighting on the third floor, heard it. Hey, is that the voice of Enel's guy? When did he become such a loud voice? Milo looked puzzled. Magellan was sweating coldly, and the sound alone gave off a sense of power. I am afraid that it is only stronger than the ability of the thunder fruit in front of me. He suddenly felt that the great underwater prison seems to be lost today. It's not that he was escaped from prison by someone like Shiki more than 10 years ago, but he was completely captured. Chapter 375. Social My Cat. The two kinds of darkness silently collided, fought and intertwined. It was like two tides in different directions collided. A kind of gravitational force that represents the infinite as the most essential and pure darkness. The other is mixed with armed domineering, combining destruction and destruction, inclusive and devouring all things. The two manifestations of darkness cannot be tolerated because Enel and Titch have different understandings of darkness. The darkness that Enel recognizes is inclusive and devouring. The armed domineering is also included, so it has unparalleled destructive power. As for Titch's understanding of darkness as an infinite gravitational force, it is only used as a reference and auxiliary feature by Anyer. Dark water. Titch faced Enel with his left hand, and a black vortex appeared on his palm. Like a black hole. Even though his stature has more than doubled, Enel is still inevitably drawn to Titch. Titch holds a dagger in his right hand, which is a weapon made by Halu stone. Dangerous aura emanated from it, and Enel's heart tightened. The thief, ha 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 ha. Enel, feel honored. I made this thing specially to deal with you. You have no chance of winning, the battle is over. Blackbeard laughed wildly. He's an opportunist and does things well at taking chances. Whether it was Enel's ability or Whitebeard's ability, he would choose whichever was easier to get his hands on. After all, this is not a vegetable market to buy vegetables, you can pick and choose. If you are too obsessed with a certain ability, you may be able to beat the eggs and get nothing. Really, the battle is indeed over. Enel no longer resisted the gravity of the dark water, but instead stepped on the ground and rushed towards Titch. Captain, be careful, Lafayette yelled hastily. What? Titch was taken aback by Enel's actions and Lafayette's shout, and then a strong sense of crisis emerged. Danger from behind. Titch interrupted the dark water and flashed to the left. But the result was still a step slower, and a sharp pain came from the right waist. What followed was a deep sense of powerlessness. Damn, it's Helu Stone. Titch had an unbelievable look on his face. There should be no talent behind it. How could the Helu Stone dagger appear without warning? Captain! Captain Titch! Vashas and Oka shouted anxiously. Titch was busy dealing with Enel and didn't see what just happened, but they saw it clearly. Just when Titch used dark water against Enel, Carter suddenly stopped chasing Lafayette and others, showing a sinister smile. It pulls a small dagger out of the backpack space. At the same time, a round green hole appeared in front of it and behind Titch. Carter threw the dagger towards the hole, and Titch was hit. In the society, my cat brother, the cat is ruthless and talks a lot. Meow, you are being too careless, Tiki. We are fighting a team battle, don't take this as a heads up. Don't underestimate the cat, or you will suffer a big loss. Milo was me the last time. You've been beaten down like this. Be careful next time. You probably haven't done it next time. Oh, so that cat is so powerful. I seem to underestimate it too. It's a tricky ability. Ski looked at Carter, a little surprised. Carter is the ability to backpack fruit. In the past, it could only open the space door that was put in or taken out at the same time, but after the ability is awakened, it can open both at the same time. And it can instantly open the space door in any place shrouded in its own sight. Throw the knife in the put-in space door, and fly out from that take-out space door. This ability allows it to instantly attack enemies within its reach from any direction. Carter is actually an assassin. Its ability also has a disadvantage, that is, it cannot pass through items with violently destructive energy attached. This makes it impossible to throw the dagger too fast, otherwise it will not be able to take in the space. And also can't add armed color domineering. Therefore, if the enemy is prepared, the effect of this move will be greatly reduced. For example, in the face of the green pheasant, if the opponent is prepared, he can put a layer of ice armor on himself, and after covering the armed color, Carter's sneak attack will not work at all. Akainu can cover himself with magma, and if the Helu Stone dagger is not attached to domineering, I am afraid it will melt before it gets close to him. And Kizaru can also dodge with his light-like speed. That's why Enel asked Carter if he was sure of attacking Kyabu when he was in the Chambord Islands, and then took countermeasures based on his answer. If Carter's answer at that time was, sure, then even if it would cause an unpredictable change in the combat power deployed by the world government in Malinford, he would have left a kiwi in the Chambord Islands. The value of a glittering fruit is worth a little bit of a limit on him. What's more, the government's combat power is also limited, and it is impossible to change beyond recognition. At most, 1 or 2 strong generals can take the place of the original Kizaru. Anyway, it is not Enel who is going to have a head-to-head battle with the Navy headquarters. No matter how powerful they are, it will not have a great impact on him. It's a pity that Kizaru is too wary of Enel and Carter. Without certainty, Enel would of course not choose to shoot. If Carter's abilities are exposed, the threat will be greatly reduced. When Titch was stabbed by the seafloor stone dagger and reached out to pull it out, Enel had already rushed towards him. Vashas and Poison Q tried their best to stop Carter, Oka and Lafayette wanted to support Blackbeard in the past. Boom! Huge thunder resounded throughout the 4th floor. The roar echoed in this hell of fire and heat. The dazzling lightning blocked the path of Oka and Lafayette's support. When Blackbeard was powerless to resist, Enel slapped his neck with his dragon claw. The dark and sharp dragon claws pierced into Titch's neck without any hindrance, and then slashed to the side. The strong muscles made Enel feel a certain resistance, but under his enormous strength, this resistance was negligible. The claws were like knives cutting tofu, and a huge wound was cut on Titch's neck. The ferocious wound ran across the left and right, almost cutting the entire neck in half. Warm blood spilled out, staining the ground red. Spray on Enel's body. He frowned, it was dark, and the blood all over his body disappeared. In this scorching air, the moisture evaporates quickly. In the blink of an eye, the spilled blood turned into large red spots that were printed on the floor. Titch clutched his neck, his vision was a little blurry. The severe pain made him unable to help but want to scream, but he endured it with a strong will and turned into a painful groan. Chapter 376 The End of Blackbeard. Lafayette and Oka stood up from the ground with difficulty, their arms trembling a little, and their clothes were covered in dust. Milo just shot, although he didn't hit directly, but he didn't feel good when he got hit. Huh. The lightning on Milo gradually dissipated, revealing his true appearance. You bastard, what did you just do? Magellan looked at Milo with a solemn expression. The intensity of Milo's attack just now made him refresh his understanding of the man in front of him again. Absolutely the strength of the general. And I am afraid that it is second only to the level of the 3 generals. What puzzled him was that Milo's attack was not aimed at him, but towards the 4th floor prison. Well, there's a little situation over there, I'm just a little help. The captain's battle is the key. Me and you, I'm afraid we won't be able to tell the winner if we don't fight for a few days and nights. Luo slightly raised the brim of his hat. By the time Enel's claws cut his throat, Titch had pulled out the dagger Carter had stuck in his waist. Oh, Tiki endured the pain of the neck to be cut, stabbed the dagger in his hand to the chest of Enel. Although Enel adopts a hard resisting strategy for most of the attacks, he definitely does not include sea stone weapons. The strong smell of the sea on the dagger made him feel uncomfortable just getting close. Enel wanted to withdraw and retreat, but found that Titch's left hand was gripping his arm tightly, and he couldn't break free. The dagger pierced Enel's chest. Titch's throat had been cut, his voice leaked, and he let out an inexplicable roar. Blood was still pouring out of his neck, and if he wasn't treated early, he might die soon. Excessive blood loss has caused his body to lack oxygen supply, his head is dizzy, and the scenery he sees is blurred. But his eyes were fierce, as if breathing fire. There was no fear of death on his face, only the determination to fight to the death and the hideousness of a demon. Titch tried his best, this was his last strength. Life and death, all in one blow. Tiki already has a strong physical skill. Before he ate the dark fruit, he could leave scars on his red-haired eyes. His strong arms can easily cut through steel with any knife. But at this time, he felt that the dagger in his hand was so dull. Enel's body is so tough. After all, the dagger did not live up to Titch's expectations. Under the domineering blessing of the armed color, it cut Enel's body horizontally, cutting from the center to the left. Tear the heart. Poison Q. Come and treat me, thief, ha 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 ha. In the end, I won. Titch's voice was blurred, but he was seriously injured but heroic. Even Sky couldn't help but stare at his arrogance. Akutagawa and Shiryu have stopped. Their path after that depends on the outcome of Enel and Titch. For both of them, it is necessary to leave enough physical strength to escape in the unfavorable situation of their own side. Waiahaha, as expected of the captain. Fate seems to have favored us again. Oka gave a rare smile. Carter showed a disdainful smile. Why shouldn't you be finished like this? It's too early to be happy. Meow, you are the losers. What? Could it be that? Lafayette looked at the fallen corpse of Enel with panic in his expression. Just under his gaze, the corpse moved slowly. Enel's resilience and tenacious vitality is the result of his body being completely altered. It has become a characteristic of the body itself. It will not disappear due to the influence of Halu stone. A lot of life force poured into the wound, the heart, bones, muscles, skin, all the injured places have recovered at a high speed visible to the naked eye. Enel's body has a mechanism to automatically expel foreign objects that do not belong to its own tissues and organs. The muscles slowly squirmed, and the Halu stone dagger was squeezed out of the body. After a while, his wounds completely disappeared, and he recovered as before, as if the ferocious injury he had just pressed was just an illusion. His recovery is not without cost. It needs to consume a lot of his own vitality, not the kind that is temporarily stored by plundering, and cannot be used unlimitedly in a battle. Enel stood up. Tiki, I won. Your journey is over. What? How could it be possible? What the hell is going on here? Lafayette's eyes widened in horror. It's such a terrifying vitality. The captain should have completely chopped his heart just now. Bashes couldn't help laughing. Is this guy a monster? His resilience, I'm afraid it's stronger than the average animal fruit. After awakening, this is the fruit of the phantom beast. We're really unlucky. Poison Q coughed out a big lump blood. Look at this, we lost. Failure is also a doomed fate. Oka accepted the result indifferently. Shiliu was a little disappointed. Really, it's rare to wait for a man that I recognize, but the future hasn't started yet. Is it going to end? Seeing Enel approaching him, Tiki, who clutched his neck, began to beg for mercy. Don't kill me, let me go. I can give you anything you want. By the way, I have a very good plan, and I am willing to be your subordinate. Help you become the pirate king. Tich begged for mercy, and under the cover of the darkness that hadn't dissipated, he reached for the musket in his belt. There are also Halu stone bullets inside. Maybe, there is still a chance for a turnaround. A man like Tich, once his ambition starts, he will never stop. No need, Enel decisively dug out his heart. Still feeling unsafe, he cut a few holes in him with his claws. In the face of a dangerous guy with tenacious vitality like Blackbeard, he must not be careless. He was a ruthless character who even had his throat slit and could still fight back after so much blood. A thief, ha ha ha, I failed. I'm really not reconciled. My dream, my ambition, I haven't become the pirate king. Tiki fell to the ground on his back, his face calm. Ah, you failed. The future will be my era. Enel looked at him indifferently. Tich's pupils gradually lost their luster, and the massive blood loss caused his brain to lack oxygen. He has been able to persist until now, and it is completely supported by his tenacious will. But no matter how tough the will is, there is a limit. The body has absolutely no conditions to support him to stand up again. This hero finally stopped breathing. Here ends his life. Will, after all, has a limit. Sure enough, a strong body is the most important thing. Enel sighed faintly. Chapter 377. Grab the dark fruit. Hey Shiliu, Basas, Oka, Lafayette, Poison Q, Tiki is dead. What are you going to do next? Do you want to mess with me? What Tiki can do, so can I do it. Or are you going to avenge your captain? Enel stared at them. Ho, we've already agreed that if Captain Tich dies, our Blackbeard pirates will be disbanded. So we have no reason to fight you again. Lafayette wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth. Wahaha, what if we refuse? Will you kill us? Bashes stared at Enel warily. Don't worry, no, as long as you don't get in my way. We don't have a deep hatred, do we? Give you some time to think about it. Give me an answer later now. Just keep your eyes open. I the power of. Quote. Carter was very consciously guarding Enel's side, watching everyone vigilantly. He held a 6-meter-long sword in one hand and a Halu stone dagger in the other. The third floor Magellan saw that Milo, who was fighting against him, suddenly turned into a lightning bolt and flashed toward the fourth floor. Letting out a roar, he quickly chased after him. Lightning flashed. The dazzling white light turned into the image of a person. The light gradually dissipated, and Milo and Akutagawa stood in front of Carter, blocking the Blackbeard's remnants' path to Enel. It's so airtight. Don't be so careful. We won't do irrational things. Poison Q fell off the thin horse and landed on the ground, savagely gushing out a large mouthful of blood. Not only the mouth, but also the eyes and nose are bleeding. "Hey, you're still like this at this time," Bashes complained. Slowly moving his hands, he picked him up from the ground and threw him onto the horse's back. Then the horse also fell to the ground, looking like he was dying of exhaustion. Bossos. Black smoke slowly rose from Enel, thick and opaque. When everyone looked inside, there was only a piece of pitch black, and nothing could be seen clearly. Enel reached out and touched Titch's body. In an instant, his vision suddenly changed. From the 4th floor of the undersea prison, the hell of fire and heat, it was transferred to a huge unknown space. Below his feet is the darkness like the sea. The darkness seems to have turned into a sea current, surging Pengbai, and in the distance, the plumes of smoke rising into the sky are raging like dragons and snakes dancing. At the bottom of the dark sea, some buildings are looming. Enel could vaguely see buildings made of reinforced concrete, buildings with neon lights flashing against glass. When he wanted to look closely, all of them disappeared again. Above the head, the sky is gray, dotted with stars. The stars exuding blue light form a wide galaxy. The galaxies form a mysterious blue pattern. Roar. A roar resounded from behind. What followed was unparalleled coercion. Enel did not look back. He had seen this scene many times before. Every time he absorbed the life force that devoured the devil fruit, he could see a similar scene. He guessed that this might be his spiritual world, or the space where his soul lives. There are souls and yellow springs in One Piece, which can be seen from Brook's yellow spring fruit and Ant's soul and soul fruit. This time the scene seemed a little different. The huge black dragon that covered the sky roared with joy and excitement. This kind of excitement has never been experienced by swallowing other fruits. The dark sea boiled, and there were no bubbles rushing upwards, nor a large amount of steam forming that blocked the view. It was a strange and heart-pounding sight, silent without a trace of sound, only boundless black smoke. The tornado did not know when it had stopped, and the black smoke slowly rushed upward, becoming more and more dense, and the entire sea of darkness was evaporated, transformed into an equally gigantic dark dragon. This dark dragon has no scales, no eyes, just the outline of a dragon. Two giant dragons stared at each other in the sky. Then they fluttered high and collided in the sky. They melded together quite nicely into a much stronger, larger dragon. It's like the black dragon is wearing a layer of dark armor. The dark power manipulated by Enel was originally unable to directly capture the demon's body in the body of the capable person. But because what Tiki has is the dark fruit itself, the difficulty is reduced. And the dark demon seemed to have no resistance, and took the initiative to get out of Titch's body and intertwined with the demon of the black dragon of Enel. This time, instead of extracting the vitality of the fruit as in the past, it absorbed the entire dark fruit. Just as Tiki captured Whitebeard's shocking fruit, Enel also became a dual fruit power user at this time. Roar. It was another earth-shattering dragon roar. This time, the roar was not in the spiritual world, but in reality. Enel has transformed into a huge black dragon, with wings spread out, a huge shadow covers the isle. The mighty coercion swept all around like a tsunami. It's not pure Longwei but Longwei combined with the domineering look of Overlord. Enel had been forbearing because he was afraid of the generals, and silently accumulated strength in a stable state, daring not to be too chaotic. Now, having obtained the dark fruit, he is already on the same level as the three generals. Really became one of the small group of people whose own strength stands at the top of the world. The change in strength has also changed his mentality. At this time, he initially had the momentum of looking down on the world, which activated the domineering look of the Overlord. This is Overlord. Carter turned his head to look at the dark dragon, quite surprised. It knew that Enel had no real Overlord color in the first place. Don't you mean to grab a devil fruit ability? How to grab the domineering? What kind of coercion is this? Milo's face dripped with cold sweat. Gia ha dragon fruit. Is this your ability? Terrible power. Enel's turbulent aura stirred up the wind, and the wind blew Shiki's long hair, swinging constantly behind him. Dragon. Is this the reason why Captain Titch's heart is still alive? Wyahaha, I saw something very interesting. Fate guides me to see this. Is there any revelation? Shiliu's cigar fell to the ground, and he stomped it out. Oh, so it looks more terrifying than Tiki's aura. Magellan, who was running down the stairs, had a look of horror on his face. What is it? Why does it seem to be some kind of terrifying monster? Damn it, what the hell happened? Luffy and the others, who had already reached the gate of the prison and were about to snatch the warship, looked back. Hey, why do I seem to hear some terrifying sound? Is that guy Magellan chasing after him? The pirates were astonished. In the monitoring room, Crocodile stepped on the jailer's corpse, pressed the button to open the door of justice, and muttered to himself, that's it then again. What the hell is this? It gives a very bad feeling. As if I was the prey being targeted by a beast that sucks. Hua-huo, I'm afraid. Herring hugged Lu-huo's thigh, shivering. Long lay I kneel. The flaming wine-red eyes looked in the direction of the prison, and his face was still expressionless. Stupid fish, you are afraid as much as you are afraid, can you let go of your claws? Lu-huo had a black line on his face, and slapped the claws that Herring was pinching on her chest with one palm. Chapter 378 Dark Fruit, Awaken. The giant dragon with a wingspan of more than 20 meters roared up to the sky, shrouded in darkness. The roar is wrapped in unparalleled power, full of shocks of power and wildness. Visi, did it work? Carter asked. Enel did not answer its words, but the power continued to pour out. He now feels his body, full of power, and so strong that it seems to overflow. If the devil power contained in an ordinary devil fruit is counted as 100 copies. Every time Enel devours a fruit, the absorption rate is 1%, and he can extract a portion of it. Over the years, including those recently extracted from Caesar's failed artificial devil fruits, Enel has probably extracted about 120 copies. 5 of them were used to evolve gill-like structures that allowed him to breathe in water. 3 copies are used to protect the eyes from bright light. 60 copies are used to upgrade the dark power. 30 servings to increase resilience. The remaining 22 copies are still in the heart and have not been used. With so much power on top of the darkness, Enel had a strong control over the darkness. Now the dark fruit he has captured has directly reached the level of awakening. The darkness swept like a tsunami. Carter let go of his short legs and rushed to the 3rd floor. It's not good. Milo's mouth twitched, turning into lightning and leaving directly. Needless to say, the rest of the people also started to flee. Just by looking at it, you can tell that being caught up in that weird and dangerous darkness is not going to end well. Hey, how does it feel? Exactly the same as when Captain Teach was furious. Bashes said. No, it's more dangerous than that. In this darkness, there seems to be a touch of domineering. If you get involved, you're done. Lafayette flapped his white wings and flew in the crowd with Shiki. Overhead. Carter's short legs were galloping fast, and he hadn't run like this in a long time. But the speed increased, leaving the rest far behind. Why, see, you bastard! Carter cursed loudly. Magellan, who was running down, suddenly saw the pink fat cat running towards him, like a ball rolling. After it, the pirates who invaded the great prison under the sea. You don't try to run away. Magellan hadn't seen the people behind Carter, and stood in front of them. Get away from me. What greeted him was a bolt of lightning, several bullets, and dense sword energy. Akutagawa Huang, Shiliu, Golden Lion, Carter, Lafayette, Oka, and Milo made moves at the same time. They did not cooperate, but they were very tacit. Magellan looked at this overwhelming attack, and only one sentence in his mind, what's the situation? Such an attack, I am afraid no one can easily block. Even Magellan, who was ready to make a big move, was a little confused. The poison dragon collapsed in an instant, and he was beaten into the wall. Carter and the others didn't even look at Magellan, who had been beaten into the wall, and still rushed forward. Bastard! Magellan stood up, suddenly feeling that something was not right. They feel like they are being chased by something. Looking back, it was a strange black smoke that kept spreading. Silent, but with the breath of destruction and death, as if to drag everything into a bottomless abyss. Cadmiro and the others did not attack Black Smoke, because they were afraid of disturbing Enel. But Magellan has no worries. Without saying a word, he threw a poisonous dragon directly. The huge poisonous dragon rushed into the black smoke, slowing its spread a bit. And then no more. Magellan also joined the fugitives. His poisonous dragon was completely ineffective. It was as if a pebble was thrown into the river, and it was engulfed by the surging river after a spray. It seems that it never existed in general. In fact, Enel's awakening burst is similar to the giant dark ball half the size of an island that Tiki used when he defeated Ace. And wrapped in armed domineering, it is even more corrosive. All attacks will be swallowed up by darkness, and it is necessary to directly attack Enel's body to stop it. It's so far from Enel that Magellan's attack on the spreading darkness certainly won't work. Shiryu, you bastard, why are you still alive? Magellan followed the team. I've joined the enemy. I won't have any future if I stay here anyway. That's why I joined the Blackbeard pirates. Shiryu made no secret of it. Damn, where are you putting justice? Dark blue venom emerged from his body, and Magellan's face was full of anger. Are you sure you want to fight now? Those weird things are about to catch up. Shiryu pointed to the back. What happened? Magellan asked, suppressing his anger. He now wants to understand what happened on the 4th floor. He knows Shiryu's strength well, and Shiryu knows him well, so he won't let him down easily like Blackbeard. In a short period of time, there is no winner. Oh, didn't I just say that I joined the Blackbeard pirates? I went down to rescue the Blackbeards who were poisoned by you, and then the Enel group came. We fought. That unfortunate captain was killed by him. I don't know what that guy Enel did. It seems that the power is starting to run wild. Magellan didn't know what to do anymore. He saw no hope of victory at all. However, even if you die in battle, you must insist on your duty. It is also an honor to be able to die on the road of defending justice. Although he is very concerned about his subordinates and his good friend Hannibal, but now that the underwater prison is about to fall, he has no time to care about other things. His eyes began to glow red, and a reddish-purple liquid emerged from his body. With every step, the ground corrodes. Violent poison liquefies as gas volatilizes, and the entire passage is filled with a pink gas enveloped. This warm color is terrifying in such a gloomy environment. Magellan, you bastard! Shiryu roared, then quickened his pace. He didn't want to be haunted by a desperate Magellan. Huh! A bolt of lightning dissipated the venom that had attacked Shiryu. You go first, since Enel has invited you. Although there is no official answer yet, I can't watch you get attacked and not help. It's my task to hold this guy down. Milo flashed to Shiryu before, looked up at Magellan, with a provocative smile on the corner of his mouth. Thanks. If your captain is still sensible in the future, I will join you. Shiryu said. The awakening of the zoological devil fruit may completely lose its mind like Jailerman. Seeing that Enel had transformed into a giant dragon, Shiryu mistook his current runaway for the awakening of the dragon fruit. Carter looked at the dagger in his hand, and then used his space ability to stab Magellan directly behind him. However, before touching him, the venom began to erode along the dagger. It was so frightened that it hurriedly threw the dagger into the space. Thundering fruit, it's really tricky. Magellan was covered in domineering and venom, and rushed like Milo. The latter did not dare to get close to him, and the domineering can grasp the entity of the capable person. In the case of manifesting the entity, the venom can also work on him. Chapter 379 Dragon Fruit, Awaken. The Endless Sea, the Towering Gate of Justice. In the middle of the sea is an area shrouded in darkness. The entire underwater prison is hidden in this darkness. The grand darkness condensed to form a huge oval sphere, like a bird's egg. Under the surface of the sea, huge shadows of the Sea Kings swim. More than a dozen warships drifted far above the sea, and in the sky, the rotors of Proverbs rattled. In the darkness, lightning flashes occasionally, and purple-red venom rises into the sky. In the end, they were sucked into it again under the gravitational force of darkness. It's really dangerous. Magellan's asshole's poison. I don't want to suffer a second time. Lafayette looked like he had lingering fears. What the hell is that bastard doing in Enel? He never said such a thing would happen before. Sky looked at the darkness with a bad expression on his face. Meow, I don't know either. Maybe it was unexpected. Carter looked at Black Egg with a worried expression on his face. Huh, who are they? Herring looked curiously at Poison Q. This man looks like he is about to die. I think we should treat him. What a kind little girl. Do you want an apple? Poison Q pulled out a basket of apples out of nowhere. Hey, you just ran for your life with this thing. Basas complained. Akutagawa Huang glanced at Poison Q. You'd better not have any bad thoughts. There's something wrong with that mermaid. Be careful that Milo will electrocute you into coke. Milo is the one who is now fighting Magellan. The guy. Poison Q heard the words, and silently put away the apples that were about to explode. On the 4th floor of the great underwater prison, Enel's changes have not stopped. In the past, the dragon fruit had long been on the verge of awakening, and because he realized that there was a huge danger in it, he kept restraining himself and did not let it awaken. Now, under the resonance of the awakening of the dark fruit, the dragon fruit has also awakened. Puff, puff, puff. The steady and powerful heart was beating slowly, and in this silence, it seemed that only this voice was left. It is so vivid and full of rhythm and regularity, as if the sound of ancient war drums came from the battlefield through time and space. Milo was the first to notice the sound. Puff, puff, puff. The sound is getting louder and louder. The rhythm is also getting faster and faster. From soothing to rapid, the owner of the voice seems to be doing some kind of strenuous exercise. Magellan also noticed that Shike, Akutagawa Huang, Shiryu, and Lu Huo all stared at the direction the voice came from. Many prisoners trapped on the 6th floor also looked up. In the end, even people who don't know how to be domineering have noticed the abnormality here. On a warship, Luffy and the escaped prisoners turned their heads in unison. The Navy also stopped moving, with cold sweat on his face. What the hell is it? Bucky said with a trembling that he couldn't even notice. What exactly happened there? Luffy looked serious. I don't know either, but it seems that some kind of terrifying monster is waking up. It reminds me of Kaido the Beast. Jinbei steered the rudder. Hey, I'm afraid isn't human anymore. Your captain is a complete monster. Shiryu's eyes were filled with enthusiasm. How could he submit to the weak? The stronger the captain, the more he recognizes it. It's such a beautiful voice. I really want to see what it would be like to die with such a beautiful voice. Akutagawa had a desire on his face. Basas couldn't help shivering, staying away from this obviously neurotic guy. He was really afraid that Huang's brain would be convulsed and he would directly draw a knife and chop him up. This possibility, it seems that it is not impossible. Roar. Enel flew into the sky and roared. The roar was earth-shattering. He circled a few times, then dived down. The 4th layer of the prison is a hell of blood and fire, and under the aisle is a piece of boiling molten iron. Like a steel lake, under the impact of the air waves provoked by the roar, it rolled like the sea. The black dragon stretched out his wings and charged straight towards this sea of flames. Boom! The huge impact rolled up huge waves, and Enel rushed to the bottom of the sea of fire and still did not stop. He kept crashing down, and the hard interlayer was torn apart by him, and a huge hole appeared between the 4th and 5th layers. Under the pull of gravity, the molten iron flows towards the hole. The 5th floor is an extremely cold hell, where the ice does not melt all the year round, the snowflakes are flying, and the hole is silver. Like the kingdom of ice in mythology. But at this moment, this cold world has been invaded by foreign forces. Is the exact opposite of cold. The hot molten iron collided with the ice, and a large amount of water vapor emerged, obscuring the vision. The molten iron cooled rapidly and fell into pieces of iron ingots. But then more molten iron kept pouring out. Extreme cold and extreme heat are intertwined at this moment. Even the water mist of the byproduct has extremely high temperature, which can completely scald ordinary people to death. Enel flapped his wings at the top of the 5th floor and continued to dive down. He repeated the previous action again. It smashed the 5th floor, and then rushed all the way to the 6th floor. Boom boom boom. What sound? The prisoners on the 6th floor looked in the direction of the sound in confusion. I saw the ceiling shattered suddenly, rocks fell, and large pieces of dust flew. In this dust, I could see a huge black shadow vaguely. What's the matter? Did someone break in again? Great, I can finally go out. They couldn't help cheering. An old man with white and pink hair, tied up on both sides and hung on his chest, with curly eyebrows on both sides, and deep red lips looked at the direction of the voice with a solemn expression. He is a great pirate who is as famous as Roger and others in the One Piece era, Lonely Red, Baroric Redfield. Even someone as powerful as him can feel the extremely dangerous aura from the intruding monster. That kind of violent and ominous aura is not something normal human beings can have at all. The 2 big holes that Enel knocked out were in the same line. After passing through the extremely cold hell, the molten iron flows into the 6th floor. The red torrent turned into a surging river of death, swallowing all life. Ah, don't. Let me out, asshole. Damn it, there is no way to escape. Immediately following the scalding torrent is the dark current. The prisoners on the 6th floor all have decent strength, and even such a high temperature cannot kill them instantly. But the heat can take a toll on them, and after that, they can't resist the gravity of the dark. He could only watch helplessly as he was swallowed up. Chapter 380 New Scales. One after another life force merged into Enel's body like 100 rivers entering the sea. After this massive amount of vitality has been sublimated and transformed into vitality of the same level as Enel, the total amount is still very considerable. Even reaching 3 tiers of his total income over the past 8 years. And it is also mixed with the vitality of devil fruit. In addition, what he devoured now is only those who are not strong enough. The really powerful ones haven't fallen yet. Some struggled in the molten iron, and some didn't even change their faces. The swirling molten iron seemed to have no effect on them at all. After possessing the dark fruit, Enel has the ability to grasp the demonic entity of the able-bodied. He can now plunder demonic power directly from dead corpses. This greatly speeds up the speed at which he collects demon power and evolves himself, and it is much less difficult to find a person with power than to find a devil fruit. The influence of the fruit awakening has only just begun. Enel stayed still. A thread of milky white filaments emerged from his skin, very short and dense. A large amount of life force poured into the skin of his body, and after being consumed, it turned into a new layer of tissue. Dense scales that are invisible to the naked eye grow on his body, using filaments as a scaffold to build a new layer of protective tissue outside the epidermis. This layer of fine scales is soft and indistinguishable from normal skin, yet extremely tough. And the original skin, as if it had absorbed its characteristics, was restored to the same fragile state as it was before Enel didn't eat the devil fruit. It seems that its toughness has been transferred to the newly grown skin-like scales. Not enough, not enough. To fully build this layer of scales requires a huge amount of vitality. The vitality drawn by Enel at this time is still a lot worse. Scarlet eyes looked at the prisoners who were still struggling in the gravitational pull of molten iron and darkness. Enel once again transformed into the form of a giant dragon, flapped his wings, and flew towards them. The sharp claws are like the scythe of the god of death, easily slitting their necks, smashing their hearts, and then extracting their vitality to make up for their consumption. Bastard, I can't spare you. No, let me go out, I'm willing to be your subordinate. Magellan, Magellan, where are you, bastard? Help. Under the threat of death, these originally famous pirates even began to ask for help from their hated enemy, Magellan, the director of the great undersea prison. But Magellan was dragged by Milo at this time and could not get out at all. Enel frantically killed and plundered, but still could not satisfy the consumption of vitality. The stored vitality was not enough, and his own vitality that really belonged to him began to drain. A trace of panic flashed in Enel's eyes. The pain of this loss of its own life force is even better than the pain of the heart being chopped by Titch. He finally figured out where the sense of crisis in the past came from. His awakening requires a lot of life force. If his life force is not enough, he will even die directly because he can't bear the consumption. Of course, after paying a huge price to endure it, the harvest is also huge. Enel clearly felt that his scales that were about to evolve had the ability to block the influence of seawater. Enel hates the feeling of losing her own life force, although as long as it doesn't pass too much and cause damage to the body, it will recover in a few days, and it won't have much impact. But since it can be solved by plundering the vitality of others, why consume your own? He aimed at those pirates who were still relaxed in the molten iron and darkness. They are the real powerhouses. The vitality possessed by the body is also enormous. Enel originally wanted to take them as partners. He set his sights on the seat of the 4 emperors vacated after Whitebeard crossed the stage. If he wants to annex such a vast territory, his current manpower is still slightly insufficient. But at this time, he can't take care of that much anymore. The site and everything are secondary. He wants the position of the 4 emperors, but also to strengthen himself with better resources. All for their own strength. Strength is the foundation of status and wealth. Hungry Wolf was still worried that the molten iron had burned his feet, but suddenly a chill came from behind and became angry. He noticed that Enel was staring at him, with the look of a predator looking at his prey. Even if his brain is not very good, he knows that his situation is not good at this time. "Hey wait, don't kill me. I can surrender, I'm very useful," he said in a panic. Enel is unmoved, such a huge amount of vitality is simply the best prey. How can you let it go now, when you are in need of a lot of vitality? The black dragon flew over the railing, his body more than 20 meters long was so small before the huge figure of the hungry wolf. He could fly between the bars of the prison where hungry wolves were being held. Knowing that the other party would not let him go, Hungry Wolf could only fight to the death. There was a fierce light in his eyes, and he raised his huge palm, hitting Enel like a fly. His movements were so slow to Enel, the big man seemed to fight like a sea king. Nothing but power. Enel dodged his attack with great ease. The roar of the black dragon. The rich dark power condensed in his mouth, then turned into a thick beam and scattered. Boom. Mixed with a large amount of domineering darkness, it was extremely corrosive and exploded. A ferocious wound with a diameter of dozens of meters appeared on Hungry Wolf's chest. Blood flowed like a waterfall, and the smell of blood filled the entire floor in an instant. Ah, it hurts. The huge size brought Hungry Wolf's tenacious vitality. This wound on his body was serious but not fatal. "Don't let me go." After realizing that he was no match at all, he began to beg for mercy again. The shed tears merged into a small river. Another growl exploded in his neck. But the hungry wolf still did not die, but struggled even more. He kept rolling on the ground, covering the wound with his hands and pounding his feet on the ground, shaking the entire prison with a thud. Enel's mouth twitched, and he was still alive after eating his 2 big moves. This tenacity level simply surpassed that of the Sea Kings. With a big mouth, a roar that gathered more strength shot out, and finally killed this big abnormal guy. The darkness engulfed the huge corpse, and the vitality kept pouring towards him, and Enel's feeling of extreme exhaustion finally improved. His own vitality stopped flowing, and the replenishment was just enough to satisfy the consumption. When Hungry Wolf's vitality was completely absorbed, the awakening of his dragon fruit was finally completely completed.